Today we're going to deal with why, I'm going to deal with why women shut down. I hear a little echo. Um, but why women shut down? Why is it that we shut down? And um, my hope is that men will hear why we shut down. And we don't just want to give you information, but solutions as well.
Is
So I'm
that
gonna talk
better?
about why I shut down, why my girls talk about shutting down. So I'm just bringing the female perspective to why we shut down.
All right. You hadn't missed anything yet, DJ. We just doing an introduction on how we're going to approach the conversation. So on my end, I would look to approach the conversation in a couple of ways. One, from a balanced perspective, and understanding that a lot of times it's interchangeable. So a lot of times we like to put the narrative on what men do, what women do, but there is three aspects that manly men typically approach. And one thing we discussed is knowing the difference between shutting down versus having boundaries. And so there are three aspects. One, diffuse. Most men like to defuse a situation. Redirect, all right, and disengage. So those are three areas that most men look at. And I will explain it throughout this conversation. I'll explain what's the difference between diffusing, disengaging, and redirecting the conversation as we go over these various topics. And what's the difference if he's actually shutting down versus not. But I'll let Dr. Tony go first. I think one thing is, how do we describe shutting down? What is shutting down versus what's not shutting down?
Shutting down, you said versus what's not shutting down. So I, I, I think shutting down could be two things, or people shut down in a couple different ways. Shutting down means I am locked up. I'm done. There's no entrance. So I'm not allowing anything to come out and I'm not allowing anything in. That's completely shutting down. You're not open. You're closed off. You're shut down. Or you could be um, get real quiet and your shutting down is I'm completely done. So I think it just depends on um, the narrative of the conversation. But
All
in
right.
just shutting down is closed. I'm closed down.
Okay. So from a one, not all, not completely, but
Mhm.
one of the aspects from a man's perspective of what can be confused as shutting down on our end is one, protecting you from what we got to say. So making sure that we're not lashing out because we already understand, especially if we had the conversation before, it went down a certain path. We know how you're going to respond or react. Another aspect is sometimes we're trying to gather our feelings. We're trying
Mhm.
to gather our emotions. All
Mhm.
right. And so sometimes we know the delivery may cut. All right. And many of us know, be mindful what you say, because once you release it, once it come off that tongue, you can't take it back. So a lot
Amen.
of times you want to force a conversation like, no, I want to talk it right now. Be careful of ultimatums and forcing a conversation to proceed when it can actually cut a little deeper than what's necessary. So sometimes that brother may be protecting you.
Okay, let me take the conversation left for a moment.
Okay.
Sometimes shutting down could, um, uh, um, from a woman's perspective, when a man is shutting down, protecting us from what he's going to say, not, giving him ultimatums and things of that nature. Sometimes the shut down is um, an opportunity to not take accountability. So how do we know that you're, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I had a call
You're
come
making
in.
a real good point. I like where this is going.
So sometimes a man will try to, well, you got to know your person, right? And if you
Mm-hmm.
know your person is a thinker, when he says, when he gets quiet and he just wants to, shut down for a second, then he's a thinker. So he's just gathering his thoughts. But when you got much to say on a regular basis, when you full of words, right? And now you're shutting down, no, you're not accepting accountability and you're trying to control the narrative is what's happening.
All right. Who determines if he's accepting accountability versus not? Is it you and your emotions and your fifis, or are you wanting to right now? No, we talking about it. So who determines if he's taking accountability or not?
Well, again, I think it's when you know your person. If you know your person is a thinker, he's not trying to avoid accountability. He's a thinker, and it takes him time to process, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. But again, when you're full of words on the regular, now all of a sudden you got to think. You got to take your time. You slow walking this. No, no, no. You got something to say. So and at some point when it is time to give the conversation a break, it's when we're no longer listening to each other.
We're
We're
gonna
no
get to that.
longer. I'm sorry.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
a matter
Okay,
as a matter of fact, let's get to it right now.
okay.
What's the difference between listening and what's from hearing?
When I'm listening to respond. When I hear you, I'm not listening. I'm not preparing for a rebuttal. I'm considering you and I'm using all of my emotional intelligence to hear you, to sincerely hear you.
I have a question. Have
Hmm.
you ever finished a man's statement?
Sure.
Have you ever felt like you know what he gonna say and you jumped in like double dutch and say, "Well, I already know what you're about to say," and you go
Hmm.
ahead and finish his statement for him?
Sure, I have.
What was his response?
Just listen. You don't ever listen. Just listen to me. Just can I finish? You don't know what I'm gonna say, and then
Exactly.
turn around and say, that wasn't even what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say, when a lot of times he might have
Okay.
been lying.
So let me borrow your mic. Let me borrow your mic
I'll pass it.
because sometimes, like my brother say, it sounds like an ambush. All right.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna explain from the man perspective.
Hmm.
For one, if we're about to say something, even if it sounds similar to something you heard before, sometimes we're trying to formulate our delivery to avoid the clashing because we know it's going to cause you to get on a certain level. So
Hmm.
I call it level 2 rule. All right. So for y'all don't know what a level 2 rule is, for Leo, I got a level 2 rule when it comes to communicate with me. All right. It's real simple. One, we conversing. Just like me and Dr. Tony doing right now, we conversing. Number two can be we can have a difference of opinions. I'm not going to even say agree to disagree. I'm just going to simply say we can have a difference of opinion as long as the conversation is moving forward. This is where it goes off a track. When a person gets offended intentionally or unintentionally, you stop hearing everything else after the offense. So sometimes brothers know they've learned by now what offends you and what's going to cause you to go to level 3, 4, 5, whichever one you comfortable with.
Hmm.
Leo only do level 2. All right, we got to keep it cool. All right, why? Because the lion's voice is to protect and defend, not to intimidate within his den. What does that mean? In our household, in this conversation, in this engagement, I'm trying to make sure I don't use my lion voice within us. That's for the bill collectors and outside of us.
Hmm.
So when you cut a man off, I guarantee you're going to tell me right now, just like you said, it always, that keyword that everybody like to use, triggered, it triggers him and it annoys the heck out of a man when you cut him off and finish his statement versus listening. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to respond to that because I'm gonna tell you what I believe it is and what most men think it is.
Okay. I
Most
want to
men
hear.
feel like it's an opportunity to soften the blow. I know what you may say, but if I finish it, I don't feel so bad if I say it versus you checking me.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Go for it.
That's not it. When a woman begins to completing your statements, it's because she's probably at level 3, even if she's calm. But it's like, you know what? We've been here before. That's why she can finish the sentence, because we've been here before. And what you're saying is what you've said, but that's not working. That math ain't mathing. We've been here before. That's when she finishes the statement, because you've had the conversation before.
So she finishing it because we've been here before and we're not getting results and we're not progressing. In her mind, we're not progressing.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Okay. So is
Correct.
the progression solely her area that she needs to feel comfortable in? Or is it, how do you gauge it?
Obviously, honestly, I would say it's according to her, because she's the one that feels some kind of way. I'm just assuming. I don't know who brought the issue, right? I don't know who brought the issue, but according to her, when a woman is finishing your sentence, it's no, let's skip this. Let's move on. Let's move to the next point of this conversation. Because you saying the same thing you always say. Next. Tell me something new. I don't want to hear the same old, same old. So apparently she feels some kind of way. She feels like it's not moving, or she's offended by it, or she's, not satisfied with where things are. DJ is is full tonight. But no, I think it's because she has an issue.
All right. So would you agree or disagree that most men get straight to the point and women like to go through the steps?
I would disagree with that. And I think it probably depends on what the issue is. I'm a bottom line type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And I find men who are not ready to address the issue or handle the issue or deal with the issue, they'll play around in the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, let's the bottom line is this, and then I'll ask you for more information. But the bottom line, I need the bottom line. So I don't know. I don't think that women like to play in, because I don't think so.
You don't okay. Now, this is what I believe. I honestly believe most brothers like to get to the point and they like to skip past all the conversation, because the same way you feel that you know what he's saying, he's had conversations with you. So he already know where it's headed to. So prime example, I utilize myself for the context of this conversation. I utilize myself. For me, if I'm listening to you, I'm gonna get right to the point and whatnot. And most people don't like that. Most people like to build up to it and whatnot. And I would sit and I would listen. I'm gonna let you finish. And then when you say something that goes aha, it's gonna be like, well, I had to get it out. And so this is what I will say.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree. Most brothers have to develop a level of patience. But in order to get that patience, you have a responsibility to allow him to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And what does that look like for you? How do you give a man the freedom to be vulnerable, to freely communicate?
I don't control the conversation. I let him say whatever it is that he needs to say, so that he can develop security in communicating with me. But that means he gotta overcome a whole lot of bad conversations to be able to have a constructive conversation with me. He gotta go through a whole lot. Men have this thing where, I believe, you can tell me if I'm wrong, where they won't communicate or discuss the matters of the heart because it'll be used against them, because it's been used against them. So they just don't say anything, right or wrong.
Twofold.
Okay.
Very correct, number one. And number two, we don't have the freedom to really speak to you. Like, you know me, three areas: surface, source, solutions. So for one, on the surface issue, say if physically he's not, you know, satisfied with your physical appearance. Most men don't feel comfortable bringing that to you without making a suggestion like, hey, babe, you want to hit the gym with me, whatever. They're ease into it because most time historically they've been taught not to speak on a woman's body. If they don't like a particular hairstyle, most men are not going to tell you, I like that one. What they're going to do is they're going to really communicate about what compliments you. But we all know sisters don't like the same hairstyle over and over. They like to try things out. So most dudes have said quiet and they're not going to say nothing about a hairstyle they really don't like. Vice versa. If they really dealing with something, historically, you may be an amazing woman that really communicates with this man that, hey, you can be free with me, but I'm a product of a situation or two or three or five, but it never fails. There's typically something that a woman say, oh, this perfectly fine, perfectly fine, perfectly fine, until time, the schedule, something doesn't align, and then it's a complaint. And it's just like, well, shoot, you could have let me do what I had been doing in the first place, but you made it okay until it wasn't conducive for you. Till it wasn't okay. So what do men call it? Nagging. They're like, all you're going to do is nag. And it's kind of like, let's be real. If you don't like something or if you're not okay with something, be real about it. Don't do it to give me that ease so that, you know, in the moment, then later on, it's inconvenient. Once it becomes inconvenient, then you start nagging about it. Like, dude, so vulnerability is one of the things that you can make or break on your end as a woman. The things that you say you support and allow, will that be through the good and the bad? Will that be through the inconvenient times? What is your delivery when you finally say something? Do you even walk this man through how you prefer things to be done? Or do you just complain that he doesn't do it your way?
I think that a few things you said, you made some excellent points. One thing is that the things that we agree to in the beginning, and I've been a victim of this, and I'm sure that I've been on both sides of this. The things that we go through or the things that we allow, right? It's cool in the beginning, but then we'll oftentimes resent the thing that brought us together. We end up resenting those things. Perhaps it has become a priority over the person, or the person just, you know, it's just dissatisfied, right? And so now it becomes annoying, right? It just becomes annoying. And then the guy doesn't understand. He's like, you met me like this. This I was when you met me. You didn't have no problem. You met me in the club. Now you mad I'm going to the club. You know, it's one of those type of things, right? If for women, you know, it's well, you like the fact that my butt was big. Now it's just bigger. And now you complaining. You wasn't complaining before. Or I see you liking all of those videos with those women looking like this and shaped like this and showing all of this, but you don't want it from me. Women don't understand that. They don't understand that. And so going back to being a vulnerable, allowing the man to be vulnerable, I think that let me give you this example. I used to tell, there's been a few times or several times that I told my ex-husband, you talk to somebody, you've been talking to somebody, you can tell me, because I've been in the place to handle whatever he said. I was in a place. Now, I ain't always in that place. But when I'm in that place, you can tell me, you know, because obviously we didn't have the best marriage, right? But he didn't trust me to say that. But I promise you, I was so cool. I would have been like, for real? You did? And that's it. I don't believe in holding things over people's heads or bringing it back up. I don't believe in I forgive you, but I'm looking at you side eye. I don't believe in that. But here's a challenge, Leo, that I see even in this conversation is that you have two people who are able to communicate. And so I don't know that we haven't always been this way, I'm sure. Because I know I would do the most. I know I have done the most. I know that I have.
Now you gotta speak for yourself. I've always been like this.
I
Now,
have not. I have not. And the reason why I have not is because I always, thought I knew everything, right? Even before you, I know what you're gonna say before you say it, because I know, without and DJ made the comment earlier. You're taking my voice away, and I think that even if I do know, wisdom says allow him to speak it for himself. Perhaps there's a different narrative. Understand what's behind what he says and not just what he says. So there's work to do in listening and communicating and providing a safe place for a man to be vulnerable with you. There's work that you have to do. My face speaks real loud. My face speaks. Oh God, I've done it on your live before.
I've seen it.
Oh no, seriously?
That's okay. Hey, we've all seen it.
Oh, that's not nice. Okay.
That's okay.
I'm gonna work on it. So that's not good at all. So yeah, we have to be mindful to work on the different ways that our body speaks, right? Our facial expressions speak, our body language. We got to be mindful of that to create that space where he feels comfortable enough to stand before you completely naked, right? With everything, and know that it's okay that I be this way. And it's up to the woman to create that atmosphere, but it's also up to the man to take a chance and trust her.
I want to go back on something though. You said something very key. There are certain aspects you like about a man when you meet him. And then at some point, those same attributes become annoying of some sort. Now, we've had the discussion many times about, do individuals truly play Build-A-Bear with people?
Oh.
All right. No, hey, keep it going, bro. We appreciate that, because we're going to have you come up in a little bit. So y'all stick around. We definitely want y'all to come up and add to the conversation.
Right.
So there's, you've heard me say this. I've said this on several platforms. There are three aspects that I typically have to ask, individuals. One, allow me to make my own mistakes. Most people don't dissolve who they were in a previous relationship and bring that into the one when they meet you. So whatever issues, whatever triggers, whatever dysfunctions they had, if it's remotely close, they jump all over it because they haven't dissolved from that old version of them and that old relationship. So one, allow me to make my own mistakes. Don't hold me to what Tom and Boo Boo and whoever else did. So that's number one. Number two, all right, don't try to teach me how to date you. You've had the experience with those other dudes. You haven't had the Leo experience. So, I got to tell you what I like. No, you don't. Actually, you don't even know everything you like. That's why you're dating. That's why it's called dating. You're testing out. You're seeing what it is and what it ain't. You don't even know if we're going to get married or not. So stop trying to control it. All right. The things that we try to control are the things we fear the most. So you fear that I won't be able to see you like the other person did. If they wasn't catering to you and doing certain things, you're trying to ensure that you get it up top. And you think you got all men are like that. It's over 8 billion people on this planet. Stop trying to teach everybody what the other person didn't do. So there's number two. And number three, don't try to date yourself through me. And so what most people do is they build a bear by trying to date themselves through an individual. The things that they lacked in another relationship, they bring into the new, and then it's annoying that person because when you, like DJ said, you're taking their voice away. You're speaking for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of talking if you're gonna talk for both of us?
Mm-hmm.
So when you end up coming into a relationship and a man get annoyed and irritated because if you cut me off to finish my statement, I ain't got nothing else to say to you. You might well talk to yourself and pretend you talking to me. So if you're gonna cut me off, I'm done. Go talk to yourself.
Wow.
What's the point of talking to me if you're gonna finish my statement?
So if a woman cuts you off in the middle, you're having a conversation, she know what you're gonna say, she cuts you off, is that your response?
I surely will. Like,
Okay.
say less. Well, I'll talk to you later. If you know what I'm gonna say, you might as well start, finish, communicate, and just give me the answer when you done talking to yourself. You let me know what we figured out. This is
So
our conversation, our relationship. It ain't mine. It ain't yours. I gave you the mic to talk, and you give me the mic. But if you want to hold the mic and be the only one on stage singing, I might well go sit in the audience and watch and listen.
So what level was that?
I told you, I only got 2 levels. So when you go to 3, I'm done.
So
Remember, okay, level 1, we're communicating like we're doing. Level 2, I won't even say we can have a difference of opinions. Level 3 is when the person get offended, intentionally or unintentionally. Most of the times when the person cuts you off, it's because they're bothered by something.
True.
That you either didn't deliver it, you said something, and they're bothered by that. So thus, now you stop hearing everything else I got to say. Remember, I said a person don't hear anything past that offense. It doesn't even matter if you're right or not. They stuck on, boom, I heard something. I stopped listening once I heard something I didn't like. So if you interrupt me, you might well have the conversation by yourself. I'm like, all right, well, hit me up later. You teach people how to treat you by the behavior you accept from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, may I offer a consideration?
Don't cut me off. Now go ahead. It's simple as that. Don't cut me off. No, go ahead.
But in the process of growing the relationship, consider before you say take the mic and then I sit in the audience. Before that, perhaps having the conversation of, you know what, I really know what I want to say, and I just ask that you give me the opportunity to say it before you pass the mic and go sit down. Just consider that.
What did you say earlier about men? The very thing that you're attracted to becomes the thing that irritates you later. I can tell you right now, as a man, and most men will tell you this, if you irritate us and you get on our nerve, that means we really like you. We might even love you. The more you get on our nerve, the more we like you. And so, thus, if we like you by now, we didn't spend enough time, we didn't learn enough of each other to know what buttons to push and what not to push. And I would tell you this, men are not slow. We're not stupid. We know most women like to push buttons to see how far they can go, because if he take my little nonsense, that means that man crazy about me. Women like to know that they're a man crazy about them and will tolerate certain behaviors. Come on, stop playing with us. We know better.
I have not heard one woman ever in my good 54 years of life say that I get on his nerves so I know he like me. I've
All
never
right,
heard
stylish.
that in my life.
Who else down there? Style Tiffy. Who is Cassandra? For the ladies in the chat. Hey, Cassandra. All right, for the ladies in the chat that's still there, give me a 1. Hey, Bam, give me a 1 if y'all agree and y'all know that if you get on the man nerve and he's still rocking with you, that make you smile. You like to know that you can get on his nerve and he ain't going nowhere. Give me a 1 if y'all agree. Give me a 2 if you disagree.
In a fun way or annoying way?
It don't matter.
No, I think it does matter because if like fun, okay, yeah, that's fun, and we just having fun, but in an annoying way, and oh, he really likes me because I can push his buttons and he stay. No, because you might just have issues. You might have self-esteem issues. You might have some mental health issues. You might have some stuff going on. And so it's like, okay, you probably think this is the best you can do. Or, oh no, no. One in a
Told you.
fun way. In a fun way, yes. In a fun way. But in a serious way, oh, I'm pushing his buttons. So no, that's toxic to me.
It is. I'm not saying that all women are toxic or they like being toxic. At the end of the day, when men know that somebody pushed their button, they know they really like this woman. So thus, again, the conversation on why men shut down, why women shut down.
Mhm.
If we really like you and we prioritize having this connection and we desire to keep this connection, we gonna watch our tongue. So we know if we say certain things, it's gonna hurt you, it's gonna make you cry. Don't no man really want to make you cry like that. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. So back to the topic at hand. Why do he shut down? Why do she shut down? When you start pushing certain buttons and he feel like he's going to respond in a way that's going to disrupt that connection. Let me just be quiet before I say something, that I know going to put us, and then she may not give up the cookies tonight or whatever the case may be. We know.
Well, Leo, let me say this. You said something twice that caught my attention. You said, what you said she would get offended, um, intentionally or unintentionally, and you put that in the under the umbrella of he know he knows what he's saying and it's going to offend her. She's going to be
Mm-hmm.
offended, unintentionally or intentionally. Now, if you are saying something the way you're saying it and what you're saying it in a manner in which you know she's going to take offense to, that's you doing it intentionally. That's not
Mm.
her taking offense. It's not just her. That's what you just described, a woman doing, pushing buttons. Okay, I'm listening.
Oh, you got the mic. Look, you got the big screen. She say, "Uh-oh, what we got going on? You got the big screen." So y'all see that right there. So if you guys want to come up and join in to the conversation, please do so. We actually have a couple of more questions. Please come up, join in to the
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
We'll bring
please.
you up. If you got questions for Dr. Toni, because she got the answers over here, y'all.
No.
But this is inclusive. All in all, yeah, there you go. He been waiting. This is inclusive, y'all. So what that means is surface source solutions. So on the surface, here's some issues, some situations to discuss and talk about. Two, what's the root cause of it? I normally say root, but DJ be looking at me sideways when I say root. What's the root of the situation? And three, solutions. I'm gonna tell y'all. I promise y'all, stick through the conversation. We actually have some solutions for you. All right. And if you haven't learned by now, spiritual, mental, lifestyle in that order. Just because it ain't coffee with Leo in the morning, don't mean we're gonna get away from the word. So that was a mic break. That was a mic check, resetting the room. I'm glad to have my brother DJ up here to join in on the conversation. If we have another sister that like to come up, come on up, balance the room, because we ain't trying to double team Dr. Toni, although she can handle herself. Hey,
Listen, she
Lily.
not worried. She not worried. But let me say
You ought to
this.
be worried.
No, no, no. Let me say this. You see how DJ came into the room, right? He's not creating a safe place for me to feel vulnerable to talk to him. He's not creating that
Oh shoot.
environment for me. I mean, like he all animated. He just doing a whole lot, and he's not creating a safe place for me. I just want to put that out there. Go ahead, DJ.
What's going on, my brother Leo? Good to see you, Dr. Toni, my amazing friend. Always happy to see you. Hello, everyone. So now that that's out of the way, I've been sitting here listening to you deflect and rearrange these questions, and I get it. But and that's your perspective, right? And I'm always going to respect your perspective. However, just listening to you, right? It feels like in certain conversations, instead of wanting to come to an understanding, it almost feels like correction is there, right? If I'm speaking, and it don't matter if you know what I'm gonna say or if you don't know what I'm gonna say, and as I'm halfway through my statement, you finish it up, then I feel corrected, right? But not only do I feel corrected, I also feel like you want to be right. So why would I even continue to talk? Because if you don't want to even hear my voice, now it's about you being right and me being wrong. So now we're not trying to figure out what the objective is. You just want to be right. So I'm gonna fall all the way back, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, well, I'm gonna allow her to be right. So at this point, it does not matter if you're right or wrong, or if I'm right or wrong, because I'm just gonna give it to you. Because now I don't even have a voice.
Mm.
So it's not about figuring out what the issue is, or even me hearing you out. It's simply just about you being correct. Yes, I am very sensitive, Dan. Thank you for recognizing that. So that's one part. You want to comment on that, my friend?
I don't disagree with you. I think that he asked me had I ever like cut somebody off. Absolutely, I have. Um, However, I know I have a desire to be heard, and I don't I don't care if a person agrees with me or not. Respect me enough to hear me out. You don't have to agree with me. I'm very intentional not to right fight. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a need to be right. I just want to be respected, and my words to be respected, to be heard, and to be considered. Just consider what I'm saying. Perhaps, just perhaps
Right.
hear me out. And so I don't disagree with you.
And the only thing I want to say is this is not personal with me and Dr. Tony. I'm just using
Correct.
her as an example because she's my friend and we're having this conversation. So because it seems like people, like it's not personal, this is not us. We're just having a conversation from male perspective, female perspective. I just want to say that.
Correct.
Yes.
All right. So first and foremost, I want to do the honor of welcoming Stylish into the room. How you doing, Miss Stylish?
I am
Hold
blessed.
on, hold
How
on,
are you?
hold on. We not up here to box this time. Let's stay on topic, please. We had a banter in a little bit. Let's stay on topic. How you
See, I
doing,
wasn't even
Stylish?
coming in with that type of energy. Amen. Because I know
Amen.
Dr. Tony, listen, she got it up here. You know what I'm saying? She
What
can
does she
handle
got?
y'all.
What does she
I just
have?
came up here to amen her, okay?
What does she have?
She got it under control.
She's got
That's
her
what she got.
feelings and her perspective.
No, okay, well, she got the woman side. Well, okay, I see what you're saying, but
Right.
okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. So,
She's just referring to the fact that when Leo said we're not trying to double team her, and she said Dr. Tony can handle it. That's what she's referring to.
yeah. So listen, no, hold on. Let me come on this camera real quick.
Please do. Please, thank you.
Listen, okay. Dr. Tony got it. Okay, I'm gonna amen Dr. Tony. Now, that's one thing I'm gonna do. Okay,
Thank
little
you.
big brother. Now, I would say I sometimes I feel like the man in the situation because I'm like that. I don't like to be cut off. I don't like to eat wrong, right, or indifferent. You know, I like, for you to let me give me the respect and let me say how I feel, right? And what's on my mind without you cutting me off, right? And like I said, wrong, right, or indifferent, just let me speak, right? Because I'm gonna let you speak. But when I get the flow, don't rush me. Don't say I'm taking too long. Don't say no. If I'm taking too long, get you a pen and paper. And man, write your bullet points out. You know what I'm saying? Take you some notes, and then when I'm finished, then we can address your response or how you feel. I want the same respect. Now, when I'm dealing with, you know, a significant other or a man or however you want to, I don't know, are we talking about marriages or, so I can put him in the proper perspective? I mean, place.
Just talk.
No, this everybody's not married. That's in relationships, and so
Oh,
since
shit.
everybody's not married, then we're
Oh, I'm
talking
sorry. I
about
had a call.
all connections and relationships.
What happened? Are y'all still there?
I don't know. Uh,
It kind of
I
froze
wonder
up.
if her phone died. No, I wonder if Dr. Tony's phone died. But all in all, no, we're discussing relationships of all kind. And I say this: there's several questions. There's different directions to go. And throughout the conversation, as I said, as men, what are your thoughts on the three areas that I spoke on? Since it's another brother on here, defuse, disengage, and redirect. Are you familiar with that?
Who, me? Yes, yes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, DJ?
I agree with the first two. Now, the redirect sometimes is hard, especially I was listening, like, case in point, right? What Stylish was just saying, because then it's now a lecture and it's not a conversation. If she's talking for 30 minutes or an hour and I'm just sitting there listening, then it becomes a lecture. So at that point, I'm not even interested in redirecting. So the first 2 points, yeah, I can see that. So we got to be mindful all the way across the board because yeah, it's a conversation, but I don't want to sit and talk for so long to now sound like the teacher on Charlie Brown, So yeah, but
Uh,
for the most part, I see what you're saying, and I agree. I was still stuck on what Silas was saying, so that kind of swayed my thought process.
Mimi, how you doing? Welcome in.
Hey everybody.
Hey, Mimi,
Hello, hello. How's everybody?
all is well.
Incredibly well. Incredibly well. Welcome into the room.
Thank
Um,
you.
so back to the topic: why men shut down, why women shut down. There was a question that I just asked DJ from a man's perspective. From a woman's perspective, would you say you can tell when a man's either trying to defuse, disengage, or redirect the conversation?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um you can tell by body language. Um if you pay attention to that person, if you know that person. Well, sometimes even if you don't know that person, you can tell by body language if they're trying to deflect or if they're shutting down. You can tell by the tone. Tone says a lot in a person's voice, in a man's voice. Um, um, Eye contact says a lot, as well as just conversation. The vibe, the energy says a lot too, as well. And then the attention span of the man. So if something else has caught their attention in the room, that changes, you know, or deflects from the conversation, based off what's going on. Hey, Dr. Tony, I met you in the car with K Short. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Yeah,
doing well. How are you?
I'm
Hey,
doing good.
Leo,
Good to see you again.
if
Mm.
you expand your box, Leo, it'll put you and Dr. Tony side by side at the same size. If you expand your box,
I hope I answered the question. Yeah. So I think that is. Oh, high flash.
I didn't. Okay, don't worry about it.
Oh, look here. Them high flashes get you, won't they, Dr. Tony? But
Listen,
mm,
I've been here for a while.
yeah. So I think with those,
there you go.
My apologies, everybody.
yeah, I think with those, that the somebody said in the comments, walking away. I think a woman's tone in how she approaches the timing of when a conversation is being said is oh my God, that I have been guilty of this, approaching a conversation at the wrong time to a man is can be detrimental. Either you're going to embarrass that man, either you're going to get him uh, off his vibe. It's the timing is everything. Timing is everything, and so or disrespect. The woman having disrespecting a man and not. I don't want to go there because I'll get on my soapbox, but uh, having disrespect and tearing a man down, that right there will have a man shut down even further because you're already breaking down his ego. You're already breaking down what he's got going on. So it's a lot uh, there. Even if that man has low self-esteem already and you breaking that man down, or even if that man has high self-esteem and you come in tearing that man down, that right there. So it's a lot of things based off of whatever's going on at that moment, I think.
What's up, Kim people? That's my little cousin right there, slash little brother, slash son, slash all of that. Rite, what's up? You want to add to the conversation?
Yeah, I had my mic cut off. I'm sorry. I was trying to let y'all go without making background noise. But yeah, so the conversation is basically what can make a man shut down or a woman?
Yeah, either one.
Okay, so from my point of view and things I've dealt in, what can make a man, and I don't want to say it's just me, but I'm sure it's a lot of men, but I feel like when you invalidate a man's feelings, that's one thing that's going to make him shut down because it takes a lot for some men to be open because of those stigmas we face as far as being emotionally in tune to being emotionally open or vulnerable. So when we are and it's invalidated, that's one thing that'll make us shut down because now I no longer want to share with you. I'm no longer going to, or I don't feel safe doing so. I feel like for women, sometimes when men approach things emotionally, because often our first reaction, or I'll say for both, when you approach an issue emotionally, like women may come out, loud or cursing or just kind of volatile in it, or a man doing the same thing, like approaching a woman yelling with a higher tone, standing over her, all these things that come off as aggression. Even if you're talking, like, and I don't mean talking as in like at a calm tone, but even if you're not being belligerent and cussing, but if you approach that person, your partner, in a really loud tone. So even if I'm saying something normal, but I'm really worked up and I'm emotional about it and I'm hollering, that's going to make that person shut up. And I feel like sometimes walking off is a bad thing depending on how you're approached. If, a woman approaches a man or vice versa and they approach them with an issue that they have and they're talking in a calm manner, but you choose to walk off rather than talk about it and do what they call stonewalling and not respond at all, that can make it a thing where you may shut down.
What are some examples of invalidating a man's feelings or emotions?
To invalidate a man's feelings or emotions are, it's something like this kind of common that I think a lot of men will deal with, right? So, and it's really kind of just often the whole like thing where things are like one sided or what's the term?
Or like
Basically,
say something and she says me too, or I'm also dealing with that, like situations like that, or trying to one up you if you bring the issue.
I want to say I wouldn't say that, but I guess double standard, right? So say a woman's like, I don't feel comfortable with you going in this space or around this person, because every guy has. I mean, we all have a friend that they live their life, but a lot of us as men, we don't judge our friends based off of what they do. I know some women can hang with girls who may be more promiscuous. They can hang with girls that are more open in who they are, and a lot of times. I feel like sometimes women won't do that because women look at it from the standpoint of like, I don't want this person around my person. So they won't hang out with women like that. And some guys, they can know how their boys are. But we don't mind it as long as they don't pressure me into it. Like I hang with a lot of people that use drugs, and I don't mean like bad drugs, but I hang around a lot of friends that smoke weed. I don't smoke, but
I
my
don't know
friends
if we can
respect that
say
I
that.
don't.
I don't know if we can say that on live, but just
Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
yeah.
But I hang around people who they have their lifestyle, and again, I've known them for years. They respect my lifestyle and that I don't do, and they don't press me into nothing. I can hang out with those people because I know come tight times, they won't put nothing on me. I don't need to have on me. They won't pressure me into nothing, and if they get into something serious, they'll let me step away from it. You know what I mean? And so sometimes when men are like,
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
how this atmosphere
So
is,
that's all
don't
right
go
there
out
with
in it.
that. Hold on 1 second. All right, go ahead, Leo.
No, I want to ask him a question. More to do with the topic. Have you ever been cut off in a conversation by a woman, and how does that make you feel?
Oh yeah, that can be a bit irate for me just because I'm the type of person when I'm talking and I'm trying to get to a point. I feel like a lot of times, and this is just in debate or an argument or with a woman in general, like in relationships, I feel like they do that to avoid you getting to your point, especially when you're proving them wrong. I feel like a lot of times, often, and this isn't generally, but a lot of times, some women, they don't like to be accountable. They don't like to be shown where they're wrong at. And so right before you get to that point of proving your point, that like that line that's get to come, that finishing blow, they'll start cutting you off with. Or like, well, if you don't do this, or I don't have to, or I'm not gonna do it. And it becomes I don't want to sound sexist. It'll become an immature battle. And I tell people the one thing I learned growing up is they used to tell us a lot as kids, like girls mature faster. And I tell people they meant physically because a young girl can develop physically faster than a young boy can. I feel like emotionally, a lot of women are in that state of mind as a young girl where I'm giving everything I want when I want it. And when I don't get it the way I want it, I'm going to give you that attitude. What do young girls do? Because I work with kids. What do young girls do? They get quiet. They don't answer questions. They get quiet. They get standoffish. They give you an attitude. They want to be baby. They want to have their way. And those are things that I still see a lot of times in grown women. And so and
Wait
I'm not
one
going to
second,
generalize
Jimmy.
every woman because every woman grows up different. But I will say it. I've dealt with girls or women, grown women that I date and I tell them, dude, I got to deal with this all day at work. I don't want to have to come home and be preaching the same thing because often I have to.
All right, go ahead,
Hold
Leo.
on, hold on. I want to hear my sister's response to that.
Well,
So
go
go
ahead,
ahead, Dr.
Stylish.
Tony, because you probably thinking what I'm. You probably about to say
Um,
what I'm thinking.
I think that I can say the same thing for men. When a woman gets close to the issue, then it's the whole gaslighting and all of that. However, I we could go. We all have examples, and we can do tit for tat with women and all of that. But at my good grown age, I don't know those girls. I don't know those girls. I'll be 55. I don't know those girls. I'm not saying older women cannot have immature conversation, immature ways in communicating. But I will say this now: when they say girls develop more that faster than boys, they're not talking about physically. Absolutely, 100% not talking about physical, emotionally and mentally is exactly what they're talking about. And even in school, when you notice a child, a girl, and it's girls and boys, but when you see a girl who's not even maturing socially, they suggest you hold them back. They don't, so because that's the issue. If a boy is not maturing socially or something like that, they don't say you probably need to hold them back. That's probably the standard, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know those girls. I don't know those girls. And there's probably an age difference between us.
Yes, ma'am. I'm 35. So again,
Yeah.
it's not, and to my point, I tried to say in general in a debate situation, because I know a lot of times I took forensics also in college, and a lot of times right before you get to a point, people will try to interject, and it's just so I don't mean to generalize it to women, but I just know for a fact in exchange, some people they feel that finishing blow coming, and they try to parry and interrupt you right before you get to it because you'll lose that train of thought once you start trying to rebuttal to what they just interrupted with. It happens.
So let me say this, even considering language, right? So like your language, even in communicating, is very strong, and that's great. That's very great. But sometimes the words we use can cause a woman to say, you know what, I'm not even going to entertain this conversation. I'm going to let you say what you're going to say, but I'm not even going to entertain the conversation. Not because you're getting close to a hot spot, just because it's very debatable. Certain words, not just the style, but certain words can be very debatable. Same thing with women, right? So in communicating, we got to know our person, right? So like he may be what's his name? What's your name?
Rete.
Rete. So like
Yes, ma'am.
Rete, like, oh gosh, in my younger days, right? Like I would have been communicating with you just to get with you. Like joke or what? Like it would have brought that out in me, right? But and so I would have just been proving a point, right? But in a relationship, again, at my age now, it's like, listen, I don't have the energy. I just don't have the energy. And so I said all that to say, just even certain words, like stylish say, triggering, especially for me, I grew up in a very violent household, right? And so the loud, the in my space, the all of that that brings another side of Dr. Toni. And so because I don't want to be that person, I will digress and shut down just because the conversation is not an inviting conversation.
So in normal tone, if a man uses a certain word, it can be triggering, right? But see, the thing that I was taught, like my grandmother was very like, how it is how I'm gonna say it. And the one thing I'm learning about people, I know a lot of people sometimes they just don't like the way you say things because they don't like the way it sounds. And a lot of times if it sounds that way because it's that way, they don't want to hear that. Because if you tell a woman right now, like if you have a girlfriend and she wants to wear something that's super low or real revealing, and you tell her that's something a hoe will wear, she's gonna get mad because you use the term hoe. But in reality, a
He
streetwalker
retired.
would wear those type of clothes.
He
I
retired.
don't know how
He
to lie works.
retired.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Hey,
so sorry.
okay, so he's all this stuff he's new to. So just be mindful of your language.
I do
But hold
apologize.
your
Okay,
thought.
yeah.
Hold that thought, bro, because I want to hear what the other ladies have to say on this one.
Oh yeah, go into it. Go into it.
All right, go ahead, Leah. Go ahead.
Stylish.
I'm waiting on the other sisters. Hey, I'm sitting back. I got something to say after the ladies. Ladies first. Go ahead.
Anybody want to go, or can I?
Go ahead,
Uh,
Coach T.
Coach Tiff.
usually, well, a stylish coach, and then I
Go ahead,
can go.
Story. Go ahead,
Okay.
Stylish.
I totally agree with Dr. Toni to the T. To the, I mean, every pause,
All I
every
hear is good
comment.
times.
Down. Can you turn good times down?
I was sure about to start singing.
Thank you,
Oh,
sis.
y'all hear my?
Loud. Oh Lord.
Look. She say she over there watching Good Times on Timu. Uh,
I thought I was about to hear
Who?
damn man.
Glory,
Coach
Miss
Tiff, go
Evans
ahead, Coach Tiff.
would not argue with her man, okay? And none of them kids.
you know what, Coach Tiff, go ahead. While we waiting on Stylish to turn the volume down, go ahead, and then we'll go me, then back to Stylish.
Okay. So firstly, I have never been that type of person. And when I do, if I am cutting someone off, it is to end the conversation because they are talking in a way in which is disrespectful to me. So then I end the conversation because we are no longer talking. Um, when it invites something else, you know what I mean? Um, I agree with Dr. Tony. Uh, generally, you can't generalize something and then want to take it back, because not everybody is like that. People are people, and some people are like that in that way, will cut you off because it's about to hit a point. But a lot of times, for me, I'm gonna end a conversation because it has become not a conversation anymore, if that makes sense. And if that ensues me cutting you off, then that's what it's going to be, because I'm no longer interested in whatever was happening, because it done turned somewhere else. And that's what I'm going to say about that. I'll end.
Well, here's my part. What Dr. Tony had to say was, what was the age gap? And you said 35, and I'm also in my upper 50s. Hallelujah. And so, whew, thank God. And so I think maturity has a lot to do with it. Experience has a lot to do with it. And so it depends on who you're dealing with. It depends on the crowd. It depends on what who you, what your selection is like, and what you're willing to deal with. And so you have to take that into consideration. And then your tone, again, I go back to that. What's the tone you using? So just because your grandmama and them used it, was harsh, doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to work right now and for the person that you're talking to, because you have to remember each individual is different. There are some people who like chaos. They like that chaotic tone. They like that aggressive tone, and that's what gets them moving. However, you come to me that way, that's not going to work. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to exit stage left, because I like my peace. And I'm going to choose peace first before anything else, right? So I think you have to really consider that. And just because you use an abrasive tone doesn't mean you're getting your words over, you're getting your statement over. Doesn't mean that you're actually getting over, you're conveying what you're trying to say over to that person. So consider, I think we all have to consider all of these things, and when we're talking to the individual, and remember the individual's character and their personality themselves. One thing that I have noticed and that I will always remember is especially when I was married and when I was growing up, they preached one way, one way, one way. And that's why you saw so many marriages in the church fail, because every person that was married tried to do it the same way the preacher preached over the pulpit. But what we fail to realize and mention, when you go home, that person is a different person. The characteristics of that person is different. That person may be an introvert or an extrovert or in between. That person may have been bipolar. That person may have been whatever the case may have been. So we have to treat people accordingly. We have to treat people according to where they are in that season. And so, maybe the person you're dealing with right now may be loud and abrasive, but maybe if you give them 10 or 15, 20, something, 30 years, they may be different. Who knows? Medicine may help them. Who knows? But that's where I'm at. And that's what I have to say.
I guess there's nothing else for me to say. Because everybody said
I
pretty
think
much what I was
Leo
going to
was getting
say.
ready to
I really
talk.
feel like it's the. You say what?
Oh no, I think Leo was getting ready to say something, but I don't. No, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good after stylist. Y'all was talking about her TV in the back still. I was just laughing. But go
I'm
ahead.
still hearing.
It's not as loud, but we can still hear
It
it.
ain't as loud. You good.
Oh my God. I turned it down. That's that good iPhone. So No offense, Android, but I do feel like it's the caliber of women that you are dealing with, right? And I'm not in my 50s. However, I'm a beautiful 45. You know what I'm saying? And I don't carry on like that. You know, um, I just don't do it. And have I ever done it? I don't even remember me ever being that way, right? And I do feel like, and Dr. Tony said it in the comments, um, you know, you don't have to be. What are we doing? Are we trying to be loud, or or be right, or heard, or be right? You know what I'm saying? I don't. And Mimi had came and said, what did she say? Yeah, just because you say, I'm direct. I say how I feel, and that's it. However, I am mindful on how I say things. You know what I'm saying? I still can get my point across, right? But I'm just mindful on how I say it. I'm very direct. I say what I mean, and I do mean what I say. You know what I'm saying? But I say it in a way where a person can receive it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how stylish, that's how I do. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, that's it. I don't I've never governed myself like that. So I don't understand whoever you did, whoever you came across in your life. And I'm gonna stop right there because I don't want to say too much.
All
This
right.
this
So
again, I don't
hold
think
on.
it's everybody. I'm
Hold
speaking
on one
on
second, brother.
my personal
Hold
experience and
on.
people say.
Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. All right. So the reset the room, guys. I'm gonna give mine, and we promise you good, man. We promise you good. Hold on. So to reset the room, for those who just came in, we're discussing why men and women shut down. So for clarity, we would like to go over surface situations, also the root causes, and then some potential solutions. And not to dwell too much on this last piece, but there is something that I want to say in relation to it, and then want to move on to a different aspect of the conversation. So one aspect of it, Dr. Tony said something earlier, whereas when it was just me and Dr. Tony, she pointed out that, hey, you see what we're doing here? We're conversing. I don't know if you've always been that way, but I know at one point I was, I popped off a little bit. To reiterate some of what she said. For me, I've always had this temperament that I have now. Like I've always had this temperament when it comes to women. The reason why I say that is my brother that made the statement earlier, although that's why we gave the women an opportunity to speak first, because a lot of what he said had a lot of truth to it. I can guarantee you, me and DJ see a lot of point. Now, his delivery is going to differ than my delivery and DJ delivery. However, depending on what age I was in, I've experienced exactly what he's talking about. Currently today, I'm 44. I haven't always been 44. I haven't always only dated and been married at 44. I've dated in my 20s, 30s, and my 40s. And guess what? In every chapter, in every generation, in every decade of my life, I've experienced the aspect of what that brother expressed. So what he's saying, sometimes, yes, the delivery can be one, like Dr. Tony say, if you're with an individual that's accustomed to it, then it may not be a problem for them. For somebody else, it might be a problem. Now, this is what I'll also say. I won't say my brother's name because he's not on the panel. We've used his name a couple of times. I got a brother that, his delivery is a little bit rough. I've already apologized for misunderstanding him the first time I've ever heard him. But now today, I've told him I'm almost jealous. I can't deliver certain things in your way. Like I be wanting to give people that business to get, talk raw. However, my delivery is just like Jesus told the disciples. Go to the countries and the cities according to your personalities and your gifts. There are going to be people that connect with you according to that. Now, this is what we have to understand as women and men. As we continue to engage in this conversation on why people shut down, we also have to be responsible for the way we deliver. Now, this is a key factor. I'm not responsible for how you receive it. I am responsible for how I deliver it. And this is the other aspect of what we have to realize when we communicate. What's in our head and what we intend to release in communication isn't always what's displayed and what's regurgitated. So I can intend to say something to Dr. Toni in a certain way. But all the words that was in my head rarely ever come out. And it rarely ever comes out in the manner or the tone. That's why we have to repeat ourselves. We're not talking to ourselves. We were talking to somebody across from us. So everything he said was absolutely true. Now, it's debatable on who matures one way or the other. This is what I say. Everything we're talking about is interchangeable. There are some young men that absolutely mature faster than women and get to a certain place, and vice versa. Now, this is what I also say, that after a certain age, men begin to learn who they are. Let's not call it maturing. Let's call it development and learning. So to a certain age, men understand that they're chasing, they're trying to entertain, they're trying to get women to accept them through a certain age and certain chapter of their lives. Once they get accustomed to who they are and they learn who they are, they start to stand 10 toes down on, you know what? I had enough of trying to impress these women. Now I'm going to be me. She gonna have to rock with this version of who I am. So to really polish what my brother down there was saying and what these sisters heard and received, both are right. It's just a matter of the 8 billion people on this planet. There are certain groups of men and certain groups of women that's going to hear it and receive it differently. But now that goes into what's the difference between shutting down and having boundaries? Is it possible that sometimes we overstep boundaries with people? And as Mimi was saying earlier, she said this earlier, sometimes we come off disrespectful. And then that man really want to lash out. So I start with Dr. Toni, rotate around DJ, so on and so forth, on what's your perspective of the difference between boundaries and crossing those boundaries, either or, man or woman, versus actually shutting down. Dr. Toni.
Let me add this to what you're saying. It would be more beneficial if the women would speak from a woman's perspective and the men would speak from the men's perspective, because it can become very argumentative and debatable when men start to speak for women and women start to speak for men. We all have different lived experiences. And so just to keep the conversation on track, I've never been a man.
Mm-hmm.
I can share my experiences with a man, but I've never been a man. I've never been in a man's mind. So from a woman's perspective, the difference with boundaries and shutting down, I think it's a matter of respect. When you cross boundaries with me, then you have disrespected me. What's the second part of the question?
That's it. The difference between
Okay.
boundaries versus shutting down. I think sometimes we confuse somebody having boundaries and realizing where the conversation is heading to, and we call that shutting down, versus they just have boundaries. And,
Yeah.
I use myself for an example. For me, I don't argue whatsoever. My favorite quote in the world, I'm going to stand 10 toes down. A lion's voice is to protect and defend, not to intimidate within his den. For me, if there is any woman that I'm talking to, if I raise my voice, I don't lose my power. The Bible commands a woman to respect a man, not love him. It commands that we love our wives as Christ loved the church. But for women, they don't have to love us like that. They have to respect us. So when I give my energy that I'm supposed to give a man or outside threats to this woman that I'm supposed to love, I automatically give up that respect factor. And so that's a boundary for me. I want to allow a woman to take me to a level that's not designed for me and her to operate in. So that's a boundary. And some individuals don't realize where they're at, and they mistake that for shutting down. No, that's a boundary. So that's an example.
Mm-hmm. So my answer is simply respect. Once you've disrespected me, that means that you've crossed the boundaries. So I have nothing else to say. So I'm done because I've been disrespected.
DJ?
That question one more time. I want to make sure it's sitting good.
Yes, sir. All right. What is the difference between having boundaries versus shutting down?
The difference between having boundaries and shutting down. Man, I would say a difference is simply the feeling and emotion behind it, right? And also, have I expressed why it's a boundary? I can't
Mm,
expect everyone to just automatically know what's a boundary for me, right? Now, here's the thing: what's a boundary for Dr. Tony may not be a boundary for Stylish, right? So I have to keep that in mind, and also I have to check my feelings and my emotions in that space of reclusing. Because if I'm pulling back and saying it's a boundary, but I just don't want to talk about it because of a past experience, then I feel like I'm being cowardice in that space. So I also have to check myself and check my motives and ask myself those questions. Okay, why is this a boundary? Or why am I shutting down? Is it her? Is there some truth to what she's saying and I don't want to absorb it? Because that's the thing too. A lot of times I can speak for me. Let me just speak for me. I have not always liked the feeling of being wrong. Even when I knew I was wrong, I didn't like it. So in that space, I got to ask myself those difficult questions. Why is this even a boundary when I'm supposed to be safe with her? Like, this is a person that I'm choosing to do life with. So I shouldn't be so rigid. Now, I understand there's certain boundaries that may be in place to keep the peace. But if it's just so rigid to where now I don't want to see or hear nothing you're saying, then I got to check myself in that space. And I'll land my plane right there. I hope that makes sense.
I loved it, man. And I'll say this before Stylish go. I commend you, for man to man as another brother. I commend you for taking accountability and not taking the side road of pointing the finger to say what a woman did and made you do. And that's what we need to hear more of. Men really giving that aspect of, no, this is on me. That had nothing to do with her. This is on me. I respect that. I like that. Stylish,
Okay.
you got the mic, Stylish.
So, can y'all hear me? Because it keeps saying my connection is bad on my side.
We hear you.
We hear
We
your
hear you.
TV,
Y'all
but
hear
we
me?
hear you.
Okay.
No,
We hear
go
you.
ahead.
Yeah.
No, no, stylish.
No,
Go
for real,
ahead.
y'all hear it? You
No,
know
we can hear
what?
you good,
No.
That's
sis. We can hear you.
I'm gonna block you after this live. Uh, so yes, I do feel like Dr. Tony. That's what I love you and Doc. Um, respect is that's once I feel like you cross the line. I think okay. For me, this is how I view it. Right when you cross the line, you don't respect me. Right, even if I have told you, hey, hey, no stigma. Um, have told you, hey, this is I have a, I don't want to talk about this, or this is off, off the table, or you know, all and cross that. That's disrespect to me. You not taking my feelings into consideration. And
You sure you got an iPhone? Cause I don't see no other iPhones going in and out, man. All right, we're gonna come back to you.
Yeah, you froze up, sis.
Mimi, you wanna go?
Yeah. So here's
I told y'all I have a personality. See, y'all don't believe it. Y'all be
Not
catching
too,
me in worship and prayer in the morning. DJ be trying to tell y'all like I actually got a
trying to tell you.
personality.
But not too much on my sister now. All right, go ahead, Mimi. Not too much. Go ahead,
I
Mimi.
just told her about them headphones. I'm like, why it sound like you swimming in water? Just keep swimming. Just keep anyway. So here's my perspective about boundaries. Boundaries to me is, or what I've read before is a level of protection. It's a level of self protection. It's a level of being intentional for self protection, meaning I've got this set up for this particular person or this particular group that, hey, I know that when they call or when I see them, this is how far they can only go, or I'm going to allow them. Or when I see them, I'm going left and they're going to go right, or I'm out the door. That it's intentional. It's an intentional level of protection. It's just like a police officer. They know that they got a job to do, so they're going to be intentional about putting their gear on. It's intentional. Shutting down, though, which I have been very guilty of, which I can do very well, is it's withdrawal. It's a disconnection from whomever and everybody, and can be unhealthy if it's not done right. Because I'm not going to say, because I've done some shutting down that was much needed, and then I've done some shutting down that was unhealthy. So I will say shutting down for me, because I can only speak for me, I can't speak for everybody else. I will say shutting down it's a place of withdrawal, it's a place of disconnection, it's a place of saying, you know what, I don't have time for blah blah blah. And you may not necessarily cut that person off, but you definitely are going to really do some standing back and some arm length, like way more than arm length, as far as how they handle you and how they deal with you. It's I ain't dealing with it. And for me, I'm going to bow out quietly. I will bow out so quietly you won't even know I disappeared. That's just me. I will become invisible. That's just me. As loud as I can be, I have mastered being quiet and getting out of somebody's life, because it's just that way. And one of the other things that I have done is, Lord, if this person is not supposed to be in my life, remove them, and remove them in a peaceful way, because I don't want no smoke. And he does it so well to where I don't have to do nothing. And so those are the things, and that's really, to me, setting boundaries. That's him setting boundaries for me. That's him lifting the standard for me when I can't even do it myself. So I think it's just a matter of the personality, even in relationships. Like if a dude is wasting my time, I'm like, hey, Lord, I need a favor.
Me.
Right? Yeah. That's it.
Look, my moderator put that clock on there. I gotta be obedient to the clock and the moderator. Hold on. Before we go any further, two things. Reset the room. Welcome in, Andrea, as y'all see, no stigma. And then I see my girl, she went on, put a little shawl, a sweater or something on. She got all comfy up there. So back to the topic at hand. For those who just joined the room, it's only popping now. Andrea. Oh yeah, guess what, y'all? I don't have no time limit, I get to hang out with the big kids a little bit tonight. You know what I'm saying? I already got things covered. So I don't have to do the hour and a half this morning. But thank y'all for joining in on the conversation of why did he shut down? Why did she shut down? Thank y'all for adding to the conversation in the aspect of the surface issues that a lot of times we cover. And then also, what's the root of it? I'm going to go back to root. I can say root tonight, can't I, DJ? I can say root. All right. So I'm going to say root. All right.
DJ's not up here tonight. I'm up here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's roots.
How do we get to the root cause of the situations? Yes. Y'all know I like my word root, but how do we get to the root cause of the situations? I know how to say it. I just like the other version. And then toward the end of this live, whenever we get ready to jump down, we're going to offer some solutions, y'all. So we're going to offer some solutions. So we don't want to just have this conversation and it be out in wonderland of We just debating men versus women. That's not what this platform is about. I appreciate Dr. Tony giving the olive branch to cover this topic. And so, as y'all know, everybody on this panel, we got is it Ratia joining us? So everybody on this panel has all
Tay,
done coffee with Ratia.
Rate.
I'm gonna let him say his own name. So
Retain.
if he ain't recognized by now, I say a lot of things wrong, and I'm gonna keep saying his name wrong. So I'm gonna be like, "Hey man," so when I say "Hey man," because he'll know I'm talking to him. So
Man,
without further
I be
ado,
saying stuff wrong too. Don't worry, me and you in the same boat.
all right,
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. My name was super different in the '90s, and like it's cool and common to have a different name now. But like back then, it was just I'm used to it. I got family
I'm
that don't
doing.
even spell my
I'm gonna
name
be
right on
like
Christmas gifts.
I'm gonna be like DJ. Go back to Jr. So to continue the conversation, the question was, what's the difference between crossing boundaries versus shutting down? I gave an example of what that looked like for me, and sometimes we confuse an individual from shut down when in actuality it may actually be them having boundaries. And DJ did an excellent job communicating. That's your responsibility to establish what the boundary is. So, Jr. And let's be mindful of our neighbors passing this mic around. Or DJ gonna put a clock on you. So I'm gonna let DJ handle the clock. But Jr., what is the difference between having boundaries versus shutting down to you?
Is it my turn? Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
I'm just making sure. Okay, so I think the difference is in how you respond because again, it's I feel like both like will give off an emotional response, but it's all in how you respond because the response can be healthy or unhealthy. So when you set a boundary, that's when I think communication is more needed for you to say, you know what, this is what I don't want to talk about. This is where like I'll draw that line at, especially if they've stepped over that bound and you let them know that, and then you let them know you want to end the conversation, and then you stop it. But I feel like just going quiet can be very unhealthy and come off as stonewalling or gaslighting or possibly making that person's state worse, especially if they're already at a point of ranting and going off. Because for somebody to cross a boundary or make somebody shut down, I mean, obviously they will probably be at a tone and using language that's going to make you already to the point of wanting to stop the conversation. So I think you have to do it. And I think just basically your response to it is what can make it boundary set or if it's you shutting down. And so, in my initial goal, basically, I think for a man to shut down, like I said, once I feel invalidated, then I'm no longer going to express those things. That's how I can shut down, like, because I don't never like being quiet. Just ain't me. I'm not gonna get quiet if it's in a debate situation or if I feel disrespected or there's a line crossed. I'm the last thing I'm gonna be is quiet. But what I will do, as far as if I am shutting down, say once we can go back and forth for joust, right? And somebody can't take it from me, but they go at it with me, and if they try to say, "Oh, well, you a crybaby," so for that point, I don't joust with you no more. We can't go back and forth because now you feel like me giving you what you gave me about it is me crying. So now then I can't go back and forth with you no more. We won't joke no more because if I tell you that's too far, but you told me it was too far, and then I play too much, like then okay, then I don't want to joke with you no more. So that's how I'm gonna shut down. I just won't do that with you no more. So
Gotcha.
if you cross the boundary, for sure, I'm gonna let you know you crossed one. And at that point, I'm like 0 to 10 on boundary crossing if my boundary was crossed. If it's by a partner, for sure, I'm gonna let them know like this is what I don't accept. But as far as just people in general, then boundary crossing, it's a whole different response for me.
Gotcha.
But again, I think it's all in if you do it healthy or unhealthy. I think just going quiet on anybody is going to crank them up more, especially somebody that if even because we do make mistakes. So even if we hurt a partner to a point where they're trying to express something to us, if we didn't like what they said, but we initially got it started, that can be, like I said, just shutting down and being quiet can be kind of unhealthy and make them go more into a rant or down a rabbit hole of trying to get out what they're trying to get out.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to that. Coach Tiff, what's your thoughts?
For me, I would say that I think I said it earlier. It's the same. It depends on the situation at hand. For me, I rarely shut down because I'm the type of person that likes difficult conversation. But if I am, like Dr. Tony said, disrespected in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I will just end the conversation, not necessarily shutting it down. I mean, shutting down, but shutting it down so it does not happen again. Because you have to learn the people's how to treat you. Um, and yeah, I'm a land my plane right there.
All right, well, she passing the mic over to Andrea. You finally get the microphone, Andrea. Go off. What's your thoughts?
I just got here. Hello, lovely people. How are you? I see you in the boxes. Look. So I think I need context. Are we talking about intimate relationships, or we're just talking about friendships across the board? What are we talking about?
For the sake of the conversation, I'm talking about all relationships. Yes, romantic relationships is the main conversation. However, I believe if you're shutting down with one person, typically you shut down with multiple people. And then, because the conversation really probably needs to go toward why. What's the root cause? I can't say root because Dr. Tony said I got to say what's the roots to it. So what's the roots to it is the next aspect of it, really digging deeper into some of the background. But the question, let's just focus on the romantic side of it. What's the difference between boundaries versus shutting down? Or if you like, the next question, how do you know when to pivot when the conversation is getting heated? Because if a person
changing the question, don't be changing the question.
Y'all always on me about changing the questions. Look, all right. So what's the difference between boundaries versus shutting down for you?
In my mind, they're two separate things, right? So when you are, in my mind, if you are self-aware enough, self-confident enough, have enough self-esteem to set boundaries, you're not going to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So they're two separate things. People who set clear boundaries are self-aware enough to understand that if they had a problem with shutting down before, they're working through it. So they're not going to automatically shut down if they have the proper tools to remind themselves, well, this is my trigger. This is the root cause. The root cause. No, this is the root cause of why. And so they're two separate things. So someone who is self-confident, self-aware, they're doing the work, they're not going to shut down. They set clear boundaries and they're confident enough to do that. Someone who is shutting down has not been able to find their voice typically. They've been in situations where they've been oppressed in being able to express themselves. Maybe they grew up in an environment where they felt like they had to be pleasers. So when they finally get in a relationship where they have a voice, and they're triggered, they'll just stop talking, and they just shut down. It's like holding your breath and hoping that the other person understands why you're holding your breath. So, yeah, two separate things to me.
Okay. It is two separate things. I like that. Look, that's why she said don't be switching the question up. So for y'all who hadn't watched before, I'm always getting in trouble when I've been trying to switch the questions up. They're like, I was prepared for that question. But this is supposed to be a co-hosting thing. Somebody gonna have to educate me and Dr. Tony on how to get the co-host feature going. So this is actually Dr. Tony's idea to cover this topic. I appreciate it. I was just sharing, a post from before. And this is a very important topic because I believe, like my brother DJ said, we all have aspects where we know we can do better in our communication, in our conversation, so on and so forth. And that's where it starts at, just being honest with yourself before pointing the finger. And then also, I'm gonna let Dr. Tony ask the next question after this one. But for this,
the current question.
Who? That's me. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, Okay.
No,
Okay, you
that's
going
okay.
to answer?
That's why you the moderator, because I totally missed it. Go ahead, Esley. See,
Okay.
DJ be keeping me on track, y'all.
I see. I see. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing?
Mhm.
Hey, Mimi. Hey, Rate. I saw your face. So the difference between boundaries and shutting down, I think, rest within the person. Some people, and it kind of piggybacks on what Andrea was just saying. It has to do with your own self-confidence and your confident self-confidence and your confidence in being and setting that boundary and having sure boundaries. I can only speak for me. I know that that's not an area in which I've been strong before because I was never allowed to have boundaries. And so having them now is something very new to me. And when I set one and it's crossed, my automatic response is to go back to autopilot and just shut down because I was not allowed to have boundaries before. When I was offended, when someone said something to me that hurt me, or when something was done that didn't make me feel right, the only response I was allowed to have was quiet. So it's my automatic response. Like, and it's something that I'm working through, but I think it really has to do with the confidence level you have in your ability to hold sure those boundaries. And something else that I am learning is that boundaries are not just for other people, they're also for you, because the boundary tells the other person this is the line that you can't cross, but the boundary tells you this is the line that you have to hold. And so, yeah.
I like that.
You got anything to say to that, Dr. Tony?
No.
Okay. You know what? Thank you for sharing that, because I think if anything, that any brother that's listening, you know what I'm saying, we really do have to take in consideration that there were whole relationships long before us. And earlier we were really talking about that, and that's why pivoting in the sake of conversation. So one thing that we stated earlier is dissolving the previous version of you that was in a relationship, how you handle things in the previous relationship, and bringing it to the current one. And a lot of times we don't realize people will shut down and stop talking. If you want to call it shut down, they'll look at you because you've heard people ask, who do you think you're talking to? Because a lot of times we do have, as you say, autopilot on our delivery of talking to people the way that we talk to somebody else, or the way that what one person allowed from you or accepted from you, another person won't. And then it goes down to some of the root causes. Some of us have grew up in households where there was nothing but yelling and fighting. So some people became accustomed and adapted to that's okay. And so they feel in their relationship it's very normal to yell at your person, and they should be able to allow you to release. That's my way of releasing anger. That other person may grew up in a household where it was quiet as a mouse. That if a door creaked, then everybody heard it and whatnot. So depending on what household, what background, what circumstances, what relationships you came from, when you go into a new one, man, it's so important to have a season of refreshing so that you can truly connect to the person that you're in front of and not build a bear. As we said earlier, when you get in front of somebody, then you want to piece things up on them that's not designed for them. DJ, remember Voltron and Transformers? And we thought Voltron, Transformers, and Power Rangers, we thought that was the coolest thing. All these different colors and all these different pieces coming together. And we didn't realize that's how we do relationships. We want to take the romantic physical part that we had with somebody. Okay, this person was, brilliant. This person was that. And then when we come across somebody, we find ourselves complaining about things that they're not doing that we experienced elsewhere. And then things that other people like, I forgot who said it. I think JR said it. those bad behaviors of being able to, act out a certain way, guess what? It's some adult women that still has the little girl in them that wants to act out at times. So thank you, Ashley, and thank you, DJ, for reeling me in to say, hold on, whoa, because we all needed to hear that, and I appreciate you sharing that. So,
Welcome.
oh yeah. So, Dr. Toni, how do we pivot in the midst of a heated conversation? We've talked a whole lot about why people shut down, why people cut off the things that we won't tolerate, whatever. But once it starts getting heated, what's a good way to pivot, and how do we communicate that with each other?
I think at first that we have to acknowledge that the question is when it gets heated, not when it gets hard. A lot of times we
Mm,
will find ourselves wanting or desiring to pivot when it gets hard. But for me, I'm not going to pivot when it gets hard. I'll pivot when it gets heated. And that for me is tone, coming in my personal space, um, being aggressive. That's when it gets heated. That's when the other person, in my opinion, is now failing to communicate effectively with me because I can't hear you
mm.
being aggressive. I can't hear you being loud. I can't hear you in my space. So now, from what I do, the way I pivot in that is I begin to shut down because it's getting heated. I begin to shut down and I have to make sure my boundaries are stated, such as you getting too close. I'm gonna need you to lower your voice when you talk to me. I think we need to wheel this back in. We probably need to end this conversation. So that's how I pivot when it gets heated.
You laying
Pass
your
the mic.
G5? You laying your G5? You passing the mic?
I'm passing the mic.
DJ, you got the mic. What's your thoughts?
Ah man, I guess I'm a big difference, in that space. I love what you said, Dr. Sony. As long as we're still hearing each other and not now yelling over each other, um, I'm not afraid of a little heat, right? I'm just not. But like, I don't get um, mad just because your tone necessarily raises. Now, if I'm talking and you're yelling over me, right, then I'll just end the conversation. But and even if you're in my personal space, just don't start waving your hands in my face and stuff like that, make you feel like you're gonna hit me in my head with something. But the heated argument in itself, it don't change me one way or another. Like I understand that people communicate differently, and I also understand that. And the reason why I say this because a lot of times we learn to respond in a heated way first, and then kind of bring it down to where you can hear me, right? So I'm up here, and if I see that this isn't working, I'm going to start bringing it down until I find you, as opposed to starting low and bringing it up high, right? It's a learned behavior, so I understand that, but I don't know, man. As long as I still feel safe, then I'm okay. Go ahead, Dr. Tony. I'm sorry.
Even in saying that, I think that again, you have to know your person. So for me, coming from my background, right, of growing up in a very volatile household, violating the boundaries of my space, that is unsafe for me and for the other person. Because if you get loud with me, especially when I'm talking low, if you get aggressive with me, it's a trigger for me. And I understand that my triggers are my problem, not your problem, right? But understanding a person's lived experience should give the other person wisdom and how to communicate. So when you are dealing with someone who, it's okay to be loud, long as you can still hear me, but know the person I am. I don't hear you when you're loud. I
And I
don't hear you when you're in my space. I don't hear you when you're aggressive. And so again, we have to know our person, or even if it's not a romantic relationship, we got to understand the other person. Because if you get loud with somebody, I remember a time when, oh, that means we got to fight.
and I understand what you're saying because, like, same here. Like upbringing, a lot of times when my mom yelled or whatever, half the time whatever was in her hand was coming behind it, and tell you like that's my blood cousin. Like my upbringing, it was not peaceful at all in my household. But I had to learn that's not the situation that I'm in now, and I'm mindful not to place myself in those types of situations. So even if we're in relationship, it's going to be an understanding. What we're not going to do is put our hands on each other. What we're not going to do is call each other out our names and be disrespectful because that's a space that I don't even reside in. So just because I know that and I know myself, and if I'm in this situation, that's the aspect that I was coming from. But I get what you're saying, Dr. Tony, and very true, because there's still a level of heated that I'm not going to deal with because of now I feel like I'm that little kid in that corner curled up again because the way you're talking to me and you sound condescending and you sound belittling and all that stuff. So I get it, Doc. I land my plane right there, Leo. Thank you. And Dr. Tony, I land my plane.
Look, go on past that mic over to Esley then.
Pass the mic to you, Esley. Here you
go. So I agree with Dr. Tony. I think the way that I pivot is to shut down because I really only have two responses when things get heated for real. Maybe three. One is to lash out because I feel unsafe and I feel like I'd rather do something to you before you do something to me. Two is to completely shut down. No words, no sounds. My face goes blank. Like my body is there. What's that song? Your body here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. Yeah. I don't hear anything. It's like Charlie Brown's mama. Wah, 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 wah. Like I hear nothing. I am completely not present. And the third one is to cry. And that's the worst one, to be quite honest. So I try my best not to get into really heated situations, hard conversations. Okay, those have to happen, right? Like you're not gonna make it through a situation. You're not gonna make it through whatever the pressing issue is at the moment without going through a hard conversation. But heated conversations, I try my best to avoid those at all costs because, yeah. And I'll stop right there.
Me?
Well, let me say, heated conversations sometimes make for great sex. I'll just put a pin right, period, exclamation point.
Mimi,
I'm gonna go on to the next thing. Golly, Jesus Christ. How I pivot is,
Mimi, listen to what I'm telling you right now. The only thing I'm saying is be mindful of the words you use.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mimi.
Huh?
Listen.
Huh?
Just be mindful of the words you're using. So.
Okay. Yes.
So we can continue to have the conversation.
Yes, sir. I didn't even see you. Okay. So my
thought. Hold on. Time out. Y'all see this? This is real life.
It was.
Hold on. Time out. Earlier we talked about cutting the man off to finish the statement because you know what he gonna say. The why behind what he was saying, he didn't get a chance to finish. This was real. Look, I wouldn't be doing my job. We holding this conversation because this is one of the things that happened. So my brother said 2-3 times, hold on, wait, let me finish. He said that and I love Mimi. Mimi, my girl, she holds it down for me. But I have to take the opportunity to say this is real timing.
Yeah.
This is a great example of what we mean by, well, okay, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But hold on. This is why I'm saying it. Let me finish why I'm saying it. Every brother on here, even some of the sisters, saw why he was trying to say the why versus, yes, you know what he about to say, but you don't know the why behind it. So this was a real life. Go ahead, Dr. Tony.
I apologize, DJ. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. I was wrong.
But I have to admit, and she took accountability, but I have to say, DJ interrupted her to say what he wanted to say. And I understand why, but he interrupted her to say what he wanted to say. And when she wasn't hearing him, then he muted her, which is equivalent to shut up, right? To get his point across. When she wasn't hearing, and it was like this from both of them. Mm-hmm. He did, listen, just listen. Both of them were trying to make a point, but I'm glad that you came to stand up for your brother. But I wouldn't be a sister if I did not say he interrupted her to say what he wanted to say.
Because if
I understand why, but I'm just making a point.
Because if I hadn't, then this whole thing would probably be done with. So sometimes, like, because now it's tuned in, it's picking up on her voice. So pause, let's interject to make sure that the verbiage is what it should be so we can continue to have the conversation. I was not trying to be rude, and I apologize if you think it that way, Mimi.
No, it's all good. We good. We have an understanding.
Thank you, Dr. Tony.
Thank you, Dr. Tony. I appreciate you. Thank you. But I think Dr. Tony mentioned, look at Leo. I think Dr. Tony mentioned it as far as pivoting, when it gets to a certain point, then I'm backing out, and we're going to have to call it a day. We're going to have to, revisit this at some other point, at some other time. And I think that's important. But again, it's about knowing your person. It's knowing your person, knowing that and really knowing where they are in the moment too. If they had a hard day, that may not be a good time to bring up that conversation. But we need to have a conversation. Making the statement that we need to have a conversation is essential, but having the conversation on that day that they had the hard day may not be great. So it's just being mindful, being self-aware is what for me. Because again, I always have to look at me, being self-aware and taking accountability for me and how I'm going to respond. I'm not gonna raise my voice. It exerts energy. It exerts so much of my energy, so much of my time. And then I don't want to have to go back and ask for forgiveness for something I could have not said in the first place. Because I know how it feels to be torn down and how much time it takes to be built back up. So for me, I try to be very cautious and aware. That's just where I'm at. So.
All right. JR, your thoughts?
Okay, so for me, pivoting and having to change the direction of the conversation is like, if it's getting too heated, and I'm speaking from a partner standpoint, if it's getting too heated and I feel like I can't get no progress or I can't get to you, I'll take the bigger person approach and I will gladly apologize for like my end of it and try to see if that can calm you. And if that can calm you to a point of like, now maybe we can be cooler and cooler heads can try to prevail in it. Like I will take that approach and go at what I've done wrong first or how I may have made you feel and apologize for it. And sometimes that can calm a situation because a lot of times in these situations, for some people, it's more about just being heard at that point. If you're hurt and that's why you brought me an issue and I'm defensive and I'm trying to rebuttal to that issue or vice versa, sometimes those people will keep going and it can get heated because they're trying to be heard and get their point out. So if I can take the approach of taking my accountability and apologizing and stopping to get you to calm down, because that's sometimes to get you to calm down and get out the rest of what you're saying in a calmer manner and then take your side of it. Now, those people that like to just take you bending over and balling up and keep kicking you, that we can't do. But I mean, I've never experienced that, but I know there are people that are like that. Like you can tell them, like, okay, I was wrong, and they can be like, and I know you was, and keep going. Like, I mean, we don't want to ever be Ike Turner, but we also, you know, sometimes I think that's just the approach. Or me, I'm really goofy and I can be childish. And this is even just without a partner, without it being my partner, I will start joking, I'll start singing or whatever. Like a lot of times, you know, I've had a partner before. DJ, he knows that when I was dating this girl named Monticello, we would argue like cats and dogs. But a way I can change a conversation, not change the conversation, but change the tone of it and get it to a calmer point or more silly point, is I watch 1,000 movies. I'll recite a movie line that's relevant to it. So the thing I used to tease her with was how Respucia talks at Norbit. Like I would do that, like those voices and like mimic stuff that she would tell him. And she would giggle it off, and then we'd be able to get to a point and be able to hold a conversation. Or I'll start singing a song that's relevant to like the whole issue of it to get us to a point of being able to talk and hold a conversation. So that was just ways I'll pivot a conversation as opposed to having to keep having a yelling match.
Mind y'all, he was in his 20s. So, okay, let's go.
You know, that was like 20 years ago, you know?
Andrea. Look, no, I was gonna ask a question and go on, but I see DJ like
Right.
Andrea. What's your thoughts?
I have so many questions though.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
I think my first question is, isn't this something that you're vetting for before you get in a situation?
That's hard, I think, because when you first meet somebody, they don't give you the badge of themselves. Nobody ever does that. I heard a saying that the devil you'll never make the deal with the devil if he approached you as the devil. Because if he
Yeah,
did, you wouldn't make the deal with him. So and when we
I
meet
think
people,
that's,
they
yeah,
don't come to us with their bad parts. They come to us with all the good parts. We only see what we want, what we like, and then that will come and sometimes hit us out of the far right side with a left hook, and we'll never see it coming. We lay it out. So you just got to understand, like, we don't really vet for the hard times. I think a lot of people, they honeymoon it at first and they only seeing the good sides. And when the hard times come, that's what'll make or break sometimes. So people don't know how to navigate through them, which is what I think a lot of this conversation is about, which I think is helpful. So that's just me.
I think that the reason why it's the honeymoon stage in the beginning is because that word, that 3-letter word, happens far too prematurely. Because I think
Well,
that if you get the opportunity to be in somebody's space for a significant amount of time, you're just going to automatically get on each other's nerves a little bit, and you'll get a chance to see how people navigate that. So what I mean is people can have conflict, but how you conflict is very important. So somebody who gets loud, somebody who becomes, very aggressive, like all of those are things that you are going to find out before you allow yourself to be way too involved and way too vested. Ideally, I'm just saying these are the things that we should be doing so that we don't get ourselves into situations like that. I think my other question is, difficult conversations, are they difficult because of pride? Because if we are constantly open to learning and growing and getting feedback from the other person, then the conversation shouldn't be difficult. Like if you trust the person to give you honest feedback, then why would it be difficult for them to come to you and say, hey, so I noticed that this is happening and I just wanted to kind of bring it to your attention, get to the bottom of it. What's the situation? These are just regular conversations. So I'm trying to understand, are the conversations hard because of pride, because of selfishness, because of self-focus? Are they difficult conversations out of fear, out of past trauma, out of not feeling confident enough to just say what it is because you were muted as a child and your opinion didn't matter, you weren't heard? Like, what? Why are they difficult conversations?
I, I think that that's why I earlier when I answered the question, I talked about the difference. The way that Leo stated the question was, how do you pivot when it gets heated? And I made the distinguish between a hard conversation and heated conversation.
Mhm.
And because I think there's absolutely a difference. Hard conversation that someone stated is absolutely necessary, and that's just life. Like when you get past the surface stuff and
Mhm.
deal with real life, you deal with hard stuff, and that's okay. But being heated, that's a different kind. That's a different temperature.
So I think
I can
too, and
say
I
this
just for the
real
sake
quick.
of the conversation, I just want to use this because I find something fascinating in the way that we're sharing our experiences from childhood, which are very important. So Dr. Tony has shared this on a few different occasions. I've heard her share this about her environment as a child and the it being volatile. And my experience is like total contrast. So my parents, when they were getting divorced, like I didn't know that they had been fighting because they didn't fight in front of me. I didn't see it. Fast forward, I'm in a marriage of 17 years. We didn't fight in front of our son, and we didn't fight. If there was a disagreement or something, it was just a disagreement. If I felt like things were getting a little for him, because of his home life, his background, were getting a little interesting. I was just one of those people who just walk away because I'm a peacemaker. I'm not going to fight you over anything. And so, with that said, I think that in my learning process, I have learned to be able to screen people properly so that I know whether or not we can manage together without things becoming volatile or hostile. Are there times and stuff that people might be going through some emotional things? They might be a little stressed. Their tone and tact might be off a little bit. Yes, but I don't necessarily think that that's about me automatically. I think that that's about the circumstances or the situation. And I have this in my notes. I'll try to find it. But, and I think I've mentioned it before on one of these lives is that, you have to ask yourself in the heat of the moment, is my partner hungry, bored, lonely, scared? Like these are things that you need to ask yourself about them. Are they sleep deprived? Because if we can answer those questions for ourselves and we can ask that of our partner, that would probably take the fuse away from, lighting that firecracker before it explodes or whatever. So those are just the things that I'm thinking about. Now, are humans going to be human? Absolutely. But the whole premise of the reason why we have a lot of the problems that we have is because we're selfish and prideful. And that's one of the things that we need to check ourselves on. It can't just be about me. In fact, it shouldn't be about me. It should be about how can I show up as my best self for my partner, my friends, whatever. And if everybody is behaving in that way, then nobody goes without. But we're not trained that way. We always think of ourselves as toddlers that need what we want what we want, when we want it, how we want it, and it doesn't matter how anybody else feels. So that's the reason why I asked that question, because I want us to go away just thinking about that a little bit. Am I being prideful? Am I being selfish? Or is this something that I need to just work through with the person that I'm in conflict with? And it's really something that we need to foundationally be teaching children how
Let
to
me respond to
conflict
that.
resolve early,
Let me
so that
respond.
we don't grow up to be these people. Okay, Alan.
I just want to respond to the question real quick because I'm a realist, right? And I I give real life experiences, right? So I'm gonna say this: a lot of times in that aspect, we see what we want to see, So somebody can tell us all the negative about them, right? But at the same time, because I see something I want, or because I have a small vested interest, that I'm ignoring all of that, right? And also, it depends on my intentions with the person, the level of information that I'm going to give. Now, if I see longevity, then I'll be truthful. If this is somebody I want to keep around, then I'm gonna lay it all out on the table. But if I feel like she'll only be around for a little while for whatever reason, I'm not gonna give it all to her because I feel like it's pointless. Now, and the reason why I say that is because it's not just about me, right? The reason why we're having this conversation because all of us on this panel have a level of maturity that's understood. That's why we're here. But the people listening, so we have to relate to everyone. That's why I said that, and I'll land right there.
So can I respond to that real quick, DJ? Because you're absolutely right, and I'm happy that you brought that up. Because when I'm counseling a lot of men who find themselves in hot water and they just thought that it was going to be temporary, they wanted to smash, grab, and run that guy because he saw that opportunity to be able to get to the box, right? That almost never turns out the way that he thought. So he thought that it was going to be temporary. But when you have somebody with a Jezebelic spirit that is trying to get what they want from you in exchange, and men typically are not as crafty as women think, those men wind up being in a lifelong nightmare because they made a smash, grab, and run decision just for what they wanted, thinking that it was going to be temporary. So this is the reason why these conversations are important, particularly for young men, because they need to understand that there's going to be potential lifelong consequences to that temporary desire being met. And that's the thing that I'm happy that you mentioned, because that is a realistic situation. But the reason why we're getting to these places where we cannot maintain healthy relationships as human beings is because we don't deal with this stuff at the root. We don't talk about it, and we don't hold ourselves or people accountable for not being mature enough. And this is why I said we need to start teaching children this stuff. Because if you don't learn this as a child and you're constantly running, you have that avoidance kind of attachment style where you're just like, I'm afraid of people. I have social anxiety. They're never going to have healthy relationships. They're just not. So I'm happy that you brought that up, because I want the guys to know, I know it looks great and everything, but you can't afford to go swimming without a very secure cap on. And I'll end there.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Tony.
Okay, it's 10:16, so I just want to set the room again. Thank you all for contributing to that line of question, but I just want to set the room. What we're talking about tonight is why, for those that came in, why he shuts down and why she shuts down. And again, we want to offer some solutions to that line of question. So, Leo, go ahead and ask your next question around that.
All right. So y'all gonna make me grow a thicker mustache. Hey, do that again. I may let my mustache
Do
go.
it again.
Yeah, do I dare you do it again. No, I'm just all right. So all right, y'all get to see the other side of me outside in the mornings. So typically throughout this conversations, if you guys have not, right on. See, y'all my people. I love that. So typically we speak from an I perspective, a me perspective. There's something Dr. Tony said and Andrea said as well. There was contrast to each other. So one, Dr. Tony had made a statement about having hard conversations. Andrea made a comment about really putting yourself in a different person's perspective. Naturally, as human beings, that's not our nature to really put ourselves into someone else's position. So before we transition to potential solutions to these situations, I like to do a round table around the room about being present. Because one thing about conversations getting heated and things getting hard, that may be from our perspective. But how can we not take every conversation and treat it the same and be present with each conversation individually? I'll start with you, Dr. Tony. What does present look like to you, and how can we practice being present?
I think that we cannot completely dismiss our lived experiences, because those are the ingredients that make us who we are. We don't just become something new because we get older. Our lived experience does impact our lives. But at the same time, I think that we have to understand, again, your person. Know your person. Know your person's intentions, right? If they say something crazy, that just might be the way that they talk. And we can't take it as them being malicious if you know your person. So being present is making sure that you are hearing your person, that you are not listening to respond, you're not on the defense. It's none of that. I'm here to hear you. I want to hear, and I hear what you're saying about it's not typically normal for us to put ourselves in somebody's shoes. I get that, but for me, I am a very empathetic person, simply because that's my heart. That's my heart. And emotional intelligence is very important to me, and so I always consider the other person when it comes to listening to them, giving them that same respect that I want to be given. So being present meaning is I'm in the room with you. It's just me and you in this room. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to respond. I'm not thinking about what happened at work. I'm not thinking about what somebody said to me when I was a child. I'm none of those things. I'm here with you. And this is the person that I'm talking to at the moment. Not my ex, not the person who did something to me, but you. And I'm honoring you in this moment by being in the room with you, being present with you. I pass.
DJ, and real quick, we'll get to your question, Spec, after we do the round on this question right here, and then we'll come to your question after we do the round. DJ.
Yeah. Everything that Dr. Tony said, but of course I was going to shorten it. I don't have all the big words like that. But I'll just say it like this. I don't want what's going on inside here with you and I to feel like outside, right? I don't know. Our conversations, our home conversations, shouldn't feel the way my outside conversations with my friends feel. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does.
So, like, people call me sensitive and emotional, and I am. I'm sensitive to my emotions, but I'm also sensitive to yours, right? So not only am I mindful about me, I'm also mindful about you, and I don't want you to feel like our conversation is it resembles a conversation that I would be having with my homeboy Leo or with my little nephew Rute or something like that. What we talk about in here should feel totally different than everything else. And I'll just land right there because I feel like I'm jumbling it up. I don't know. But go ahead. Here you go, Esther. I'm going to pass you my mic.
I took it. You didn't see my hand, but I took it. So I was going to say a lot of what Dr. Tony said. Make sure that you are listening to comprehend versus respond. And before you respond, one thing that I've done in the past is say, so what I heard you say was, and then you repeat what you heard the way that you heard it so that there's no miscommunication, because sometimes somebody says something, but like Dr. Tony said, because of your own personal background and your lived experiences, you heard something completely different from their intent. So if you repeat back what I heard you say was ABC XYZ. And then you can respond to that. But if what you heard was not what they said, then you have to give them space to restate what they said so that you can comprehend. And that's the listening to comprehend versus listening to respond.
I have a question. Esley, before we go to Mimi, what if a person just isn't interested in what you're saying?
Then you need to revisit. You need to have a come to yourself meeting and decide if that's someone that you want to continue sharing space with.
Is it that serious?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
If they continuously, now if they don't want to hear what you got to say in the moment, and it's not a habitual thing, then maybe it's just in the moment. And you
Right.
can say, okay, well, we won't have this conversation right now, and then you can stop the conversation and revisit it later. But if you are in relation with someone on any one of the ships, the friendship, the family ship, the intimate relationship, if you on any one of the ships with somebody and they continuously do not want to hear what you have to say, then you need to have a come to yourself meeting and decide, is this someone that I need to continue to engage with, period? Because my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my me is not important to them.
Mimi next.
But what was the question? I done missed the question. Leo done lost it. What was the question?
He said, what if they don't want to hear what you got to say?
Okay.
No,
Well,
the original question. The
the
original
original
question.
question.
The original
Dr. Tony.
question
Yeah.
was
About being present. What's being present look like to you?
Oh.
yeah, that's what it was, because I forgot.
Thank you.
That's a lot. That's that's doing what you say you're gonna do. Like if you are going, if we're going to make time to communicate, let's make that time to communicate. That means putting the phone down and let's make time to talk. If you're going to, let's just keep it honest. I'm just talking about me. If you're going to text me back, text me back. Say you got busy, or I'll let you know I got busy. So that I can know that everything is okay. Because for me, I'm a nurturer. That's just me. I'm a caring person. Paying attention so that it doesn't escalate to a big argument. So not looking at the TV while we're talking, saying that you understand, So being present is being there, but not being out of body, out of mind. And then I think, as Lee kind of touched on it a little bit, but hearing is passive, listening is active. So actively listening to what one another has to say. And then and then here's the thing, being
Hold
willing
on, Mimi.
to,
Mimi, real quick. Rewind. What if I've told you the same story over 4-5 times and you just interested in that same story? Sometimes we do that. We
then
say the same
there's a
thing on
hearing problem.
repeat.
There's a hearing problem. There's a hearing problem.
No, it could be me. Like I can totally been and told you a story umpteen times and then you just kind of checked out, like you don't want to hear it no more. Do you tell me you don't want to hear it no more, or
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you I don't want to hear it anymore, but then there seems to be something else going on. I think No Stigma said that there seems to be a core issue, a root problem there.
That person may just be happy about that, and they don't know nothing else to talk about.
Well, then
I'm
they
just
need to
messing
go.
with you.
They need to get a book. Goodbye.
See, thank you, Veronica. She say, I usually say, "Oh, I remember you told me that."
Hmm.
Yeah, but no. But go ahead, go and finish your statement. Then we're gonna go to Jr.
That's all I got.
Okay, Jr. I'm done laughing. My brother had me rolling over here. Jr. You got the mic, man.
Okay, so for me, being present as far as with a partner in a serious conversation that's like going on is as simple as eye contact. Eye contact, paying attention to what I'm saying and listening to me because I do the same thing. And again, like I said, I took forensics and debate and all this other stuff. But see, I'm a big person on listening to what you said because kind of how S. Lee said, like you want to always lead with, well, you said this and repeat it back to them so that you know what they're saying as opposed to what they meant. I'm a big like I'm not gonna take what you said wrong. I'm gonna take what you said for what you said. So I'm real big on like paying attention and being present in the conversation. That way, if I do get offended, I can explain to you why I got offended and vice versa, which is why like I at least want to know you're hearing what I'm saying. So if you looking at me in the face the same way, because I'm real big on eye contact, because one thing that'll get under my skin is if I'm talking and you're like doing everything else and in your phone, like I just won't do that. If we're having a serious conversation and something needs to be discussed, like I'm putting my phone down, I'm not listening to nothing else, I'm not going back and forth or like trying to pace while you're talking because I feel like that's an avoidance tactic people do, and so it doesn't turn into like a man woman thing again. I feel like in arguments or serious conversations amongst couples, sometimes I think it's an avoidance tactic when people are avoiding eye contact when they're walking around or they're like multitasking while you're talking to them. But if something hurts you, you're trying to get a point across, or you're trying to express something. If people are trying to walk around and move while you're talking, I feel like it's an avoidance tactic. So being present to me is as simple as giving me eye contact, giving me your full attention. Because if not, then it seems like you're not really trying to hear what I'm saying. Because again,
Do
like I
you
said, I work with kids, and one thing I noticed, especially when you deal with like teenagers, when you're like reprimanding a teenager or getting on them about something, their biggest thing is to roll their eyes and do everything else and look everywhere else, and that's just avoiding wanting to hear it. To me, that's what that comes off as. So that's why, like, I'm real big on if it's me being present and like what being present looks like to me is you giving me your full like eye contact, looking me in my face, responding, actively listening to me because I can repeat back anything you say to me in the middle of an argument and let you know like that's just what you said, and I will give them literally from the beginning of the sentence to the end of it. And like I've had a couple people like, oh man, like I did say that, and that's just me, but that might be because of the part of me that likes to argue. So I'm definitely gonna record something. I'm like a mental stenographer. Like it's gonna be in there every piece in what you said. But that's just me because my grandma used to say a lot of things, and some stuff if you like, especially the whole like if you say it while you're angry, like I feel like you meant it. So I'm just big on if you say it, like I'm gonna keep that in my mind. Like I feel like I believe that you said that, and some stuff some people can't come back from saying. For me, they can't. Milk once sour will never sweet again. I used to hear that. So
speak?
what happened?
That's
Oh,
it. We
my
moving.
bad.
Yeah, we moving on.
Yeah.
Oh, I said too much. My bad.
Now you good. You good. What's your thoughts on spec being present?
Yeah, definitely. Being present to me is being here. I mean, you have to make sure you're not only listening, but you're hearing what I'm saying. You got to understand my heart and what I'm saying, to you. If it means something to me, then I want you to understand it. And I want you to, have some type of sympathy about what I'm saying, because I don't just speak just to hear myself talk. If I say something, it's coming from my heart. If I say something, it's because I really mean it. If I say something, I need to address whatever it is the situation has been, or whatever the case has been, and whatever the case has occurred, I want you to understand that I'm coming from a place of sincerity, and I want you to make sure that you receive it. You know, because I'm an emotional type of person, very sensitive. I'm working on it, but I'm very sensitive, and I don't want to have to repeat myself over and over again. And sometimes women, let me just say me, not women, but me. Sometimes if I have to repeat myself, it's because you didn't get it right the first time. When I conveyed it to you, you must have, heard it went in one ear and out the other. Then now I got to address it again because you still doing the same thing that I did not like. If I express that to you, I need you to comprehend what I'm saying. I need you to listen effectively, and I need you not to do that again. We ain't finna be repeat offenders. That ain't what's finna happen. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not why I got up here. I got up here because I had a question.
After Andrea, I got you. Andrea, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, I think that definitely when you have mutual respect for your fellow man, you want to actively listen to them. That's what respect means, that you're listening, that you're showing compassion and empathy. When you love somebody, though, it is our responsibility to protect the people that we love. And most people think protect means I need to grab a weapon and be on the lookout for somebody that's going to come externally to try to harm them. We're not thinking about protecting their psychological, emotional, their spiritual, their physical, their fiscal state. In order for us to love somebody, that means that we are respecting their psychological and emotional health too. So when there's something that matters to them, we're actively present. We are listening actively, not passively. We're trying to solve or resolve whatever it is together. It is important that we're actively engaged in that process. And I think we all know what it's like to talk to somebody and they're going, They're listening to what? Respond. They're not picking up anything that you've said. And that always is coming from a trauma space too. It's a lack of self-control. So when you're in a conversation with somebody and they're doing that, it's probably best to just say, you know what, let's have this conversation at a later date. And it automatically shuts them down like, wait, what happened? But you are telling them, I need for you to work on that. Because that's one of those things that's very important for us to be able to troubleshoot things together, is if we're all actively engaged. And I've had that happen on a professional level. I'll just share this and I'll land. There was one of our directors in the company that I was working for, and she was one of those people who had trauma. She was open about it. And every time anybody in the company would try to have a conversation with her, she would overtalk them. And I just remember one day she tried to call me because she tried to go to my boss to tell my boss something that was absolutely false about a conversation we'd had. And I called my boss to let her know, what the conversation was. And then this woman called me. And I just stopped her in her tracks. And I was like, look, you are not an active listener. And that makes you not a team player. You have to actively listen to team play. And she didn't like it. But everybody had the same exact synopsis about who she was. So I just wanted to share that. But when we love people, we protect them all the way around. Not just in one category, but everything about them.
I like that. All right, Spec. You got the mic. What's your question, Mama?
Okay. So my question is, because I didn't get the earlier part of the show, I wanted to be on this show so bad because it was the title was very enticing for me. Why did he run? Did I get that correct? Or what was the title? Why did they run away? What was
Shut down.
Why did they shut down? Yes. So my question to the panel, to everyone, is do you open up about what it is that you want initially when you first know that you're interested in someone? Do you just let them know, like, listen, this is what I want, this is what I'm about, this is how I perceive things, this is what, my future looks like in my husband? Or do you just not share and hold back? Because sometimes they run or they stop showing up because you were too upfront with everything, right? So I don't want to be too upfront and too forthgoing if you're gonna shut down and run away every single time that I tell you, yeah, I want to be a wife. This is who I am. Like, what do you do? Do you hold back?
Go ahead, DJ.
Can I? Oh,
Go. Hold on. Go, DJ. Go ahead,
Um,
DJ.
I'm gonna say no. I don't. First, I got to figure out if I like you or not, right? Right. I got to figure out if I like you and if I want to keep you around. Yeah. And even in that space, and Leo says it all the time. I want to date you, right? I want to get to know you, so I'm not gonna hold you to the standards that where my ex dropped the ball. I don't think it's fair to you to put the pressure on you because I didn't get this in my last relationship. So if you happen to be that person, then we'll arrive, right? We'll arrive. If you're not my person, then it's cool that we don't waste each other's time by pretending. So I want to get to know you by who you are. Yes, I can like you and I can think you are absolutely gorgeous, but if our paths don't align spiritually, mentally, if we're in that align, then all that stuff goes out the window because essentially we're just going to be wasting each other's time. So, but that's just how I approach it. Now, once we start knowing each other a tad bit more, then I'll start sharing those more intimate aspects as far as expectations. Do you want to be married? Do this and that. So, I'll land right there.
We can't hear you, Leo. What you're saying?
can I go?
He was saying,
I was saying Dr. Tony, then Jr.
Um, I'm glad that DJ answered you first because I think that a man needs to tell you that and not a woman. But another perspective I'll offer is that you don't want to give intimate information to somebody that you're going to be cordial with. Giving them your desires, your heart, you're giving them a piece of your heart from an informational perspective. They're not privy to that at that time. And how I liken it to is my man going up to another man and that man already know about his woman. I don't want him to know. I want my man to be comfortable. You don't know my girl. You don't know her. And so you got to be careful sharing your heart with someone who you're cordial with. They're not privy to that information. They haven't gained that place in your life to where you share a piece of your heart with them. Keep your heart for your man. If y'all work your way up to that, then that's fine. But right off the cuff, he don't need to know that about you. Let him search for you. Let him search your heart. Let him discover. Because even in him discovering that, perhaps you'll discover something about yourself as well. But you don't need to give him the information that you've given other people because that's a very surface, information. Don't give them a piece of your heart.
Prt1, you want to add something? That was great, Dr. Tony. I love that.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Tony. See, that's why I said, yeah, sign me up. But go ahead, JR. I'm gonna let everybody else answer, then I'm gonna go last. But go ahead, JR.
We can't hear you. Hit your mute
You
button.
muted.
Am I muted?
Now you're
There
good.
you go. Oh,
There we go. I'm sorry, my phone touched DJ phone for a second. That's a hard question for me to answer because I'm a very open person, and that's in like a lot of my ships. So even in my friendships, I'm not. I mean, I don't have very many what I would call true friends. The people who I am friends with, I can share a lot of everything of who I am with. That way, a lot of my reactions don't come off as like odd because I'm a very like hard on my sleeve type of person. And when it comes to a person of interest, as far as a relationship goes, I think the harder part in that answer lies in a lot of times women, not all women, in situations I've been in, women will ask you up front, what are your intentions so that you're not wasting their time? And in me understanding that a lot of people's time is non-refundable because we can't go to God on judgment day and say, you know what, Jesus, can I get that 6 months back I spent with, so-and-so, because he's not going to give it back to us. So in trying to be intentional, yes, I can be very open if it's asked of me, just so you know where it's at. And the only hard part in that is like I said earlier, my very first response is that a lot of times men are put under the stigma of not being emotionally open or available. And so sometimes that happens because if we do come out and we're forth like that, it can come off as love bombing, or it'll come off as like, oh, that's too much, that's too clingy, or I don't want to deal with that. And, that can shy a woman away. But if we're too reserved on it, women feel like, oh, like I don't know how he feels about me, or he's not telling me this, or he's not telling me that, or they think we're closed off. So the very difficult part for me is finding that balance. So if it's requested of me, like, hey, what are your intentions? I can be open and I can tell you. But as far as being forthcoming, I think I'm one of those like overtime people because I am very much so a talker. And if we're communicating at a healthy pace, you're going to learn about me and who I am, over time, and what goes on and what doesn't go on. But as far as like certain family stuff, it got to be real deep because I grew up in some stuff in the way. As far as my mom goes, if you got to learn about that part of my life, we got to be all the way in there. I can't just tell anybody that. So, because a lot of times, some people, not all, but it can be weaponized what you divulge to a person. So I'm very careful with that.
Okay, but Leo, please let me just get this out before you move on, please. So what if it's asked of you? What if that person is wanting to know of you, and then when you tell that person about you, then they still run off? Like, but they were interested. They asked. They wanted to know for themselves something more intimate about you or something more personal about you, but it freaks them out and they end up,
Then I'm gonna turn into Blackstreet. Don't leave me, girl. Please. No, I'm just playing. I won't do that. Now, if that's the case, and they choose to walk away, they can choose to walk away. I can't. I'm not gonna hold nobody romantically hostage to nothing. If you asked and you couldn't handle it, you couldn't handle it. But that's what was asked of me. And like I said, that type of thing is what puts men in that space of not wanting to be too open, but then not wanting to be too reserved. Because again, a lot of times I've dealt with situations, or a lot of men will deal with situations where a woman will say, you could have just told me what it was up front. I would have respected it. And realistically, a man can't walk up and say, you know what? I think you're very attractive. I only want to temporarily deal with you and you be okay with it. Or some men can't walk up and say, you know what? You're really beautiful. I want to know you long term. And women will deal with it. Sometimes it's a touch and go basis. It's a really hard thing to deal with. It's like trying to play chess with checker pieces.
All right, Kenzo, let's let somebody else hop on that real quick. You good with that, Leo? Whoever wanted to.
Let me say this: asking is not asking is not obligation. If someone asks something of you, that does not obligate you. If they ask that of you, it doesn't mean you have to answer them.
That's correct.
You're not obligated to that. And if a person says, do you want to get married one day? I want to get married one day. That's fine. That's still no obligation. People have a right to change their mind. And again, everything, especially in the beginning, is superficial. You don't know them. They don't know you. And so they very well may just change their mind. You may change your mind and say, you know what, this is not a direction I want to go into. Take two Christians, for example. Just because they're two Christians don't mean they need to be married because they're two Christians. They can still be just as unequally yoked as somebody who is not saved and somebody who's saved. And so don't feel obligated or pressured for somebody who feels like, oh, they want to know all of this. No, if you in that much of a rush that you want me to tell you everything right now, then you got a bigger problem. Right. And I'm not going to be a part of that.
Right. Right. And I wanted to just say, and I'm happy that you gave a little bit more context, Spec, and it's for this reason. What you just described is unnatural communication between two people. Communication is like tennis or volleyball. There is a serve, somebody receives it, they return, and then it continues, right, until there's a miss. So it's like sitting down at dinner and you start talking about music and Luther Vandross comes up and somebody's like, oh my goodness, I love him. You know, a house is not a home is mine. Oh no, but I like such and such. I like that one too. That's what healthy communication looks like when you're getting to know somebody. And so for somebody to say, tell me something intimate about yourself, automatically that's a red flag for me because I'm thinking this is some Jezebel spirit that's trying to come in and trying to find something out about me so that they can use it against me later on. Ultimately, that's the thing that I was going to say in the beginning is you need to ask yourself a few questions before you get started. Why are you in a rush? And I want to say that to everybody who's over the age of 40. This is not a speed dating thing. Don't do that. It's organic. I don't care what age you are. You still have to take your time. If you are in the mindset that your time is running out, then you need to sit down and deal with that with a therapist, right? You have all of this life to live, and you can't be living it in hyper speed because everybody who's rushing to the war, that's what they're getting. And then they're wondering why these relationships are not working out. So you don't need to divulge anything. And I would just say discernment. Somebody said it in the chat. It's literally about having wisdom, but it's more about discernment. Can you discern whether or not this is somebody who's worth your time? And I wouldn't even say that there are things that are too personal because if you work through your stuff, there's nothing that can be used against you. So it's not about your shame and your keeping anything. It's just about whether or not that person is even capable of dealing with whatever you need to share. Because what you have as part of your testimony might be a little bit too heavy for the next person. So you're also here to preserve and protect other people's souls. Because what you've been through, they might not be ready for. You know, so you're going to have to just pray about that, whether or not this person is worthy of what it is that you need to share. Because your testimony is invaluable. And if people run from you, consider that God's protection. The world's rejection is God's protection. If somebody runs from you, good. Let them go. So I just wanted to share that. But that was a great question to ask.
Can I ask, what if they ask those type of questions not to use it against you, and it's not an ill intention, but a lot of times I think people ask those questions so that they can know how to properly like deal with you, how to help heal some of those traumas, how to love you if they're trying to get to that point, or how to, I mean, actively, intimately like engage with you. I I say this because I've exchanged information with people before. I don't mean in the sense of I've asked someone to know something intimate, and I'm not saying like in a first day, but I've had that question asked to me as well as I've asked it before, and I don't mean it in a sense of like on the very first day, but I mean over time. I think that's a question that comes up, and I think it's with intention of wanting to know how to properly be, you know, there for that person, how to properly engage with that person. Because I mean, how do we actually know people without asking? If that makes
Hold
sense.
on. Hold on.
It's
Before we
just
go
a,
ahead, let's give Mimi her turn to answer that question, and then we're gonna come back because we actually got answers to that. I want to make sure everybody get the opportunity to answer this. Mimi, go ahead.
I just want to say this all about spec. Let me just give you some air hugs. Um, and just I commend you for a great question. I have been guilty of being that person. I'm just being very transparent. I've been guilty of being that person, and I've been guilty of being very, very guarded right? It can be a difficult playing field when trying to figure out what to say, what not to say, when to say, you know, it's difficult. And then when you do get, let me just, can I, okay. I'm just going to shoot from the hip. When you get,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You good.
when you get to, as from, I can only talk about me. When you
Mm-hmm.
get to a certain age and you've been married for 19 years and you've done all the things and all of that, and then you get divorced and now you got to get back out there and do it again, you almost kind of have a sense of knowing what you want, know what you're not going to tolerate, know what you stand up for. You have an idea. You know what you ask God for. All of those things, right? And so you kind of want to, the flesh part of you kind of wants to get in there, get in and get out. You kind of want to get in and, hey, you want to ask some questions because you want to get it over with and see if this joker is a bum or if he's the right one. That's just me. Okay, I can only talk about me. So I get it. It's like a balancing beam. And so it can be difficult. But one thing that has worked for me is, and I said it earlier, I prayed a prayer that God, if this man is not for me, remove him in peace. Because I still need to be able to sleep at night. I still need to preserve my emotions. I still need to preserve my gifts. I still need to preserve my mind. Because I don't want any spirit to enter in or to attach itself to me that shouldn't. That took years for me to get rid of in therapy or deliverance or whatever the case may be. And so for me, that's the prayer that I pray. It's a hard prayer because that joker be fine as wine. That joker come, I'm about to say something, fine as wine.
I appreciate you.
I thank you. But it works. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting, God is preserving me. In the meantime, while I'm waiting, he's keeping me. And I am a hot commodity. I am a prized possession. I am all that and 15,000 bag of hot chips. And so while I'm walking down the street, I know I have choices. I have, and I'm ministering to you because I feel this to whoever else is listening. And I be trying not to go down this road, Leo, but this is something I can't take off of me. But this ain't an easy walk for male nor female. But if we can hold on and know our worth, when I tell you when you know your worth, honey, you ain't finna settle for no bum. You ain't finna settle for no male or female bum. And it'll be easy to walk away. I easy to walk away. So I commend you for that question. And thank y'all for being able to sit on the panel.
Right on. All right. So this what I say to it. I seen that seen that hand coming up over that down there. This is what I say. First, ask your question again. Spec.
You know,
I'm gonna answer. I need a favor. I need you to ask that question again.
my question is, when you are interested in someone and they are interested in you, it's the initial moment, with you guys getting, acquainted with one another. and they are asking tough questions up front, or you're giving or you're asking tough questions, and then they decide not to show up again, you know what I'm saying, because of the questions that they ask and the answers that you gave them. You know what I'm saying? How do you do that? What do you start off with? Do you withhold information? You know what I'm saying? When you initially start dating someone, because you want them to stick around, or do you just tell them up front who you are and what you about? That was my initial question. So it
All right.
wasn't like pertaining to me per se, but I just want to know, when I get to know someone, what is appropriate to say up front and what's not. That's it.
All right. So for anybody that's new to Leo, there's a segment that we do that's called Lovely Tuesdays. Lovely Tuesdays go over a plethora of these situations and understand that there are different aspects to connections. Number one, we're all prototypes. Whether you agree with it, whether you realize it or not, we're all prototypes. You know how I know? Because some of us are divorced, some of us are dating, some of us going from one relationship to the other. If you haven't learned something from a previous connection, this is the one thing that I've learned. I did online. I tried online one time about 4 years ago, and I did an exercise. And I'm answering your question with this description here. I did an exercise, and I talked to women of different age brackets, different regions, so on and so forth. And I immediately started to pick up some tendencies, some things that were similar, different regions, different age groups, so on and so forth. And guess what? Because of that exposure and that experience, you can learn in real time. You know how to identify things when you see it. For one, trust you. Your first responsibility is trusting yourself. One thing Mimi said is it goes into self-love. You can't give what you don't have. You can identify, the more you love yourself, the more grounded you are with yourself, the more you can identify things and do what we spoke about earlier, which is have those boundaries. There are certain things that align with you, certain things that don't. And when somebody asks you certain questions, when you have a certain level of self-love, self-respect, and certain boundaries, I don't care if Barack Obama asks you a question. If you're not in alignment to answer that for that particular person, you should respond appropriately. Hey, that's something I don't mind discussing, but right now isn't the appropriate time. Okay. Also, there's one aspect to every connection that I recommend to individuals. I recommend this to any connection. I don't care if it's friendship. I don't care if it's romantic. Pray over every connection. One, you pray, God, show us your perfect will and purpose for this connection. All right. When you pray individually and collectively, God will definitely show you why you're connected with this person. It may be for something to be exposed. If you pray for certain aspects in a husband, there are certain things God will show you that you're not even ready for. Sometimes he exposes you and connects you to people to show you. The things that you think you're ready for, God will show you by presenting you to an individual that is healed, that is ready, that is moving and thriving in the area. And God is showing you where you need to grow. So that's number one. Pray your perfect will to show us the purpose of this connection. That way you're not running red lights. Number two, show us your permissiveness. What will you permit? That's the education aspect of it. Sometimes I can guarantee you every individual on this panel has an individual that they thought they would be longtime friends with, that would be connected with for forever. And you don't even know how to find them today. You don't have their phone number, their address, so on and so forth. Why? Because the season ran its course. So if you prematurely give too much information out of season, that can come back and bite you in the rear end. And now you're dealing with what so many other people deal with, a fear of rejection. When you give too much exposure too soon, guess what? That builds up. It builds up. And then all of a sudden, you're in fear of being rejected again. And people are wondering why I can't make these connections. And lastly, okay, self-will. Show us self-will. What is it that it's me? This is what I want. The one thing that I love about Mimi and what I rock with, she will not let you know. She will let you know that the flesh has its way. All right. Each and every one of us will fold like fresh laundry up under the right circumstances. All right. So I'm saying it in a way where my platform and my channel don't get flagged and whatnot. We can keep having conversations. Mimi gonna say something else. I'm gonna tell you, you will fold like fresh laundry under certain circumstances. Thus, you have to understand self-will and what you desire may have you up under somebody's sheets prematurely. All right. And then there goes another situation where I ask, man, this didn't work. That didn't work. So I don't care what questions a person asks you. Those are identifying questions to see how they can break you down. All right. And it's not 100%, but majority of the time, you're giving too much access and too much exposure. You're letting them know what you're weak to. All right. And I'm going to land right here and pass the mic just in case somebody want to add to it. If you give a person the blueprint and the book on how to get to every aspect of you, Ms. Leah in the comments said it earlier, your heart belongs to God. You have to watch the things that matters to the heart and giving that information out. Giving that information out isn't a rite of passage for certain individuals. You're not obligated to give information. What you're obligated to do, love yourself and be obedient and make sure that that relationship is in alignment. People always talk about alignment, but they really don't know what alignment truly is. All right. So being present, praying over these connections and being obedient to the answer when it comes is what's going to keep you out of trouble. When you're disobedient and you're like, well, that's my type. That's the height. That's the complexion. They chiseled. She thick. She round. She whatever. I think I can make this work. Being obedient to the answer is what's going to keep you upright. Anything else is self-will, and you're going to have this repeating cycle. And then guess what? And I'll land here and pass this mic. It's very possible you're connecting with the same spirit in a different body. And that spirit already knows how to get at you. And it's a test to see if you've grown and healed from a certain space. So if those questions are questions like that, typically it's the same spirit in a different body. I'll land there. I can't hear you, Andrea.
Because I actually wasn't trying to be heard. I was just saying the same pair of shoes in a different color. It's the same thing. But I think that Leo said it, too much access too soon. The access is it like it needs to be organic. And I don't know how we got to this place where it's like we just throwing up all over everybody and we expect it to work. Mm-hmm. That was going to be my question to Rete. Like, has it worked the way that you've been doing it? Because I really challenge everybody. If you're desirous of being in a beautiful, healthy kingdom relationship with somebody that leads to marriage, why are you doing the same thing that you've been doing all this time, expecting a different end result? I challenge you to do things God's way and ask Him to navigate you through a situation. Because I think that many people have become so comfortable in their pattern that they're just hoping that their pattern is going to fit the right lock. Like that key is going to fit the right lock, instead of going, maybe I need to hold back a little bit more. Maybe I need to be a little bit more intentional. And you don't have to actually ask a whole lot of questions. I tell people, I think that most people in the mental health space know that you can talk to a person for a good 20 minutes and kind of know where they are and where their areas of opportunity are. Like when people know they're being interviewed and stuff for a particular role, they're going to show up in their best suit with their best resume, their best briefcase and best shoes. They're going to come with their sociopathic answers that they studied online with artificial intelligence. But if you're just laid back and you're just chilling and stuff and they don't even know that this is a possibility or potential, No, you're going to get a lot of answers because the person's just going to talk and they're going to tell you who they are. And it's your job to believe them. I don't care how great the casing is, the packaging is. You're going to have to look beyond that if you want somebody of substance, and stop looking at the package. I feel like preference is the thing that has gotten most people in a lot of trouble. It's preference. Like, knock it off. Because who it is that you like, you think is best, you done tried that multiple times and it hasn't worked. You know, you got to look deeper. You just do.
And the Cracker Jacks are best at the bottom of the box because it's sweeter. The cereal is always sweeter at the bottom of the box than at the top. Y'all ever notice that? When you go to Sonic's, it's when they don't stir it up good. Sometimes it's always better at the bottom. That's all I want to say.
I love you, baby.
All right, look, look. It is Thursday. I still got to work on Friday. It is 11 out on the East Standard Time. So I'll allow you guys to give your final thoughts. I do have, for those who still around, I do have a few solution scripture references. But just if you guys have any last closing remarks.
I love y'all. It's way past my bedtime. Good night.
See, I felt it. See, look, I felt it. Look, that drifting. But go ahead, Jr. You got anything you want to say? Close us out, man.
You got any last words, bro? Rete, are you talking to us?
Yeah, he on mute.
No, I'm not. No, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
I was saying I appreciate you guys hearing me out. And also, I like brain picking. So I love hearing information and good things that I don't know yet from older people. Just because I still like learning. I'm very much so student still. I like to try to be a student still. So I appreciate a lot of you guys. And I'm working at it still. I'm still a piece of work myself. So that's really why I need this type of information. And yeah, everybody have a good night. I got to get ready to go karaoke. So
All right,
All
man. I'll
right,
see you
man.
soon. All right.
all right, D.
I'll see you soon.
You welcome.
Me.
I got you, Rete.
Yeah, solution, accountability, self-awareness. Forgive thine own self. Give thine own self grace. Talk it out. Be vulnerable enough to talk it out. And watch that tone. That's all I got.
So for me, I'll just say as far as solutions, right? Be consistent. That's one of the main things because I'm the type of person to where I'm a creature of habit. I look for patterns, right? So any inconsistencies I'm gonna notice. Um, that's really all I got, man. My allergies are kicking my behind, bro. I've been sneezing and rubbing my eyes and stuff. I appreciate y'all. This has been great. Dr. Tony, I need you and Leo to do another part to this because this was amazing. I loved it. If you don't mind, if y'all don't mind.
Hey, absolutely. Oh, and I figured out what it was, Dr. Tony. You have to go live separate from me. So you have to go live separate. I have to go live. And then we can do the co-host and it links us together.
But if y'all do the co-host, then y'all can't add guests like this.
Huh?
If y'all do the co-host like that, then y'all can't have guests to ask questions and stuff. You can't have guests like that. But have y'all own do it.
All right.
All right, I'll see y'all later. Go and put me out the room, Leo.
Dang, look, he ready to drop. All right, say we. All right, Mimi. Let's see. Let's see.
Hey, Brother James.
My brother. Hey, fix this box, DJ. I know you still down there, man. We got too many boxes up here. I know you still there, DJ. Fix this box. This layout. While we figure this out, any final words, Dr. Tony?
Going back to the original question, why he shuts down, why she shuts down, I think it's imperative that, again, I can't stress this enough, know your person,
Mm-hmm.
consider your person, and then respond accordingly. I don't think that we got into why she shuts down, which is very interesting because that's typically what happens, right? We didn't talk about why she shuts down. We kind of went to her issues. We went to how he feels and things of that nature. But that's the reason why women shut down. Because it's not their turn. And they're so used to waiting. And then they're so used to waiting. And then it's, okay, now we're exhausted now. So it just don't matter. So we just move out the way. And I just thought that was very interesting.
So
How
it sounds like we need to do a part 2 why she shut down. It sounds like DJ was absolutely correct. It sounds like we need to come back and give the focus to our women, to our sisters, to the ladies. Why did she shut down? See, thank you, Veronica. Do you agree? Yeah, thank you, DJ. I agree. I believe we owe it to you guys. You know what? As a brother who represents the men right now, I apologize. DJ did something earlier that I'm gonna follow up on. He took accountability and he admitted. He said, "Hey, it was me." So, all right, for those who are still here, my apologies. We did not get to why did she shut down in the full context, because it was really centered around the brothers and the men this time. It was a little lopsided, so we didn't get to the why she shut down. I will give this caveat. Initially, when I posted the video some months ago, that was what it was. Why did he shut down? But it would be imbalanced and it wouldn't be right if we did not ask why did she shut down. So when you want to talk about this, Dr. Tony, when we want to go over why she shut down.
Okay, before I say that, let me say though, I didn't really hear why you all shut down. What I heard was your response to us, not why you shut. What did I do to cause you to shut down? I heard a little bit of it being emasculated. I think that another word was used, but I did hear a little bit like that. But yeah, I want to have a conversation, a basic conversation. Like we can go, we'll go left, we'll go right, all of that. But in layman's terms, why do you shut down? Why do you shut down?
I'll give you a couple of them. One, DJ made a valid point. You took our voice away when you cut us off.
I did hear that.
So the number one was you're taking our voice away. And I responded that if you're going to cut me off and you figure you know what I'm going to say, then what's the point of us talking? You might as well hold the conversation by yourself. All right. Two, disrespect, volume, tone. Men are not adept to women raising their voice, talking to them like they're a kid or a child. And way too often that happens where individuals will raise their voice. They will talk in a certain mannerism and tone. Earlier, I spoke about there are certain individuals that come from households where they're accustomed to fighting and people arguing and going back and forth. My brother expressed that, hey, coming up, hearing that, I'm sensitive to that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to deal with that. So there are people who grew up in quiet households who are not, exposed to that. So that's another reason men shut down based on their household. Some men have witnessed their mom being abused, physically abused. And so they may feel that's something I never want to be a part of because I've watched my mom go through that. And to avoid being in a situation, I don't want to do that. It's a safety issue. Right now, the police are being used as a weapon against men. Women know that if they push a button, they go so far, all they got to do is say, he hit me. And he's off and whatnot. We've seen videos where women brag about, I got his butt locked up, And so there are so many reasons why men, shut down, why men stop talking, why men stop operating and moving. And it's a million different situations. However, the center core of it is safety, your safety and my safety. And our job and responsibility is to be present and manage the situation. And so most men, it can be, as you said, avoiding accountability because they may be wrong and you're on their head. But again, are you being mothering? Who are you to talk to that man in such a way that you wrong and is that the right way to do it? Or, babe, I get what you intended to do, So the delivery is everything. So there are so many aspects, and we can get into that, why did he shut down? I wanted to give the floor to other men that were on the panel to kind of express some things that they were dealing with, because guess what? Over 8 billion people, 4 billion men, my experience doesn't represent the totality of all men.
Right.
So I had to be mindful not to represent all men since there were men available to speak. But you have the mic.
I'm glad that you said that because I want women to hear why men shut down. I think it's important that women hear why men shut down from a man. So thank you for sharing that. But that's exactly why I wanted to even have the conversation so that we can hear why men shut down and men can hear why women shut down. Because I can't, like I said, I'm not in the mind of a man. As much as I think, I know what he's going to say, right? Because that used to be my mindset, but I wise enough to know that I don't know the mind of a man. And I'm going to honor that man to give him, and I want to take his voice away. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's important.
Absolutely. There are so many. So you guys, there are so many other reasons. That was just only a few. If we did a poll from men, I'm sure those would be on there, as well as some other ones. And then also trust. Sometimes men just simply don't trust you. And you have to ask yourself, did I give them a reason to? All right. Vulnerability. You may not have broken the ability for him to be vulnerable with you, but his experience prior to you has been something that he's experienced where, he's a little shy. I say trigger shy. So he's a little trigger shy, where he's just like, every time I really express to a woman, and then ultimately I tell y'all like this app, along with other social media apps, do an amazing job pinning people, women and men, against each other.
Right.
All right. And so when you really look at what's repeatedly, showcased, whether it be balloon pop, you can just look at the balloon pop in itself. A lot of what the answers are why they not selecting each other is social media jargon. It's stuff that they've adopted. And it's almost to a point where people don't have organic thoughts of what they're seeking, what they want. And when you hear, I'm a foodie, I like to go out to eat, I like to travel, I want somebody that's very generous, it's robotic. And then it's just like, hold on, who, is there anybody? And so if that's being said, I want a man with all his teeth. He got to have 6 figures. He got to be 6 feet. And so when you start hearing these things, it's kind of like, just like women have things that they don't like. Guess what? Men have heard enough where I'm just waiting on it. I'm just waiting on it. Oh, there we go. All right. Peace.
Yeah.
And so you got to realize when people get quiet, it's kind of like, is this the person that's going to really rock with me through thick and thin? Or is it going to be that conversation? Who said it was our job to build a man up? Support? Nah, he got to have all his stuff together. So when people hear something that sounds good from another vessel, somebody made it sound good and fresh, and they start adopting it, you know what? You're right. I don't want a man that ain't this. And they fail to realize, look at the economy you in.
Right.
All right. We've been in a recession for how many years?
Yeah.
All right. They got tariffs. They got all type of things. Look at the job market. They had the federal government shut down for how many months?
Yeah.
Are you using common sense when you're really discussing who you want to connect with and what you want to do? All right.
Have reasonable expectations. That's all. We have too many unrealistic expectations.
So, what'd you say, Veronica? Thank you. Leo answered. So, I can go on and on with a number of reasons why men shut down. All right. But we also need to hear why y'all shut down. And then guess what? We really going to get to the solution. How do we repair it? How do we fix it? How do we move forward? Because it does nothing to just simply have these conversations and not offer solutions, not offer remedies. And guess one of the ways y'all can do that by joining us with Coffee with Leo. Dr. Tony's on there, Mindful Mondays. So I'm going to plug y'all on this. So join us, if you can, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Mindful Mondays and Lovely Tuesdays. All right. Wednesdays and Thursdays are special dates, guests only once a month. That's Working Wednesdays and Healthy Thursdays, but mostly every Monday, every Tuesday, Coffee with Leo. All right. Get your mind right. Set the foundation and the atmosphere of your day before your day meets you. There's no way you can rebuild healthy relationships without first having the mind. All right. The thoughts. Whatever get the thought wins the action. All right. So what we plan to do is utilize Mindful Mondays as a tool and a method to help build your mindset, because it's not as easy as hitting a switch and all of a sudden I'm starting to move different. I'm starting to be present. So I can say all of these things right here on this video, but unless you have the practice and unless you have the tools, unless you have the scriptures, so on and so forth, to put it in play and to do this daily, guess what? You're going to result back. All right. To autopilot. To you're going to reset to the original factory mode. And then all of a sudden you're popping off again. And then there's another unhealthy relationship, another unhealthy connection. And so a part of the solution is get your butt up early, join us on Mondays, get your mind right, and then find out what version of love you're really experiencing. All right. So Lovely Tuesday really goes over different love principles, what you're experiencing from a person. A lot of times when you go into these connections, you're expecting a different connection from them based off of what you had before. Let us help you identify what type of connection you're experiencing, what type of love and passion this person has for people, for what they're doing in life, so on and so forth, and how you can support it. A lot of times people shut down when they feel unseen, unappreciated, and not supported. All right. Unappreciated, not seen, and unsupported. Not appreciated, unseen, not supported. That goes both ways. All right. So if y'all want to know the whys and you want to get to the, can I say root?
Go ahead.
If y'all want to get to the root of the situation, Mindful Mondays, Lovely Tuesdays, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. That was my plug. Dr. Tony, you got the mic.
You said it all. I'm good. I'm not going to follow that.
She says she's not going to follow that. So before we get off, we'll have her to pray. So let me read something to y'all. If y'all got a pen, it's late at night. Y'all probably be by your bed. Use your little notepad on your phone or something So Jati, I'm gonna give you a couple of scriptures. I ain't gonna give them all to you, but a couple of them that you can jot down so you can practice on this. All right. Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. That's one of the key elements of these situations and people shutting down. All right. You're not gentle enough. All right. For men, maintain your masculinity while displaying the gentleness of God. For sisters, your feminine energy is your superpower. The softer, the sweeter you are is your superpower. All right. That was Proverbs 15:1. Second scripture I'm going to give you to adopt. James 1:19. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. James, 1st chapter, 19th verse. Quick to listen. That means allowing the person to finish their statements, even if you think you know what they're going to say. Slow to speak. I used to talk real fast, and I used to swear and cuss a whole lot when I was younger. And what helped me out was I realized how silly I sound, and I was offending people with my words. As I offended people, I worked on how can I change that? I started thinking about what I was saying before I said it. That's slow to speak. Write it out in your brain and then deliver it. And then you will make less mistakes offending folks. All right. And finally, the third one I give you. Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. You can speak life over your connection. You can speak death. You can call that person silly, stupid, whatever. And guess what? They're going to resent those name callings. You can speak life over them. I believe in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, what do you need from me? You can speak life or death into that. Yeah. Take those 3 scriptures, operate in that, and I guarantee you will have a healthier connection. And then, above all, take those and pray it over your person. If you truly want a healthy connection, they don't even have to hear you. Take those scriptures in your meditation and pray it over your person. If they don't communicate effectively, utilize that. All right. So that's my 2 cents. This was a special edition of Why Did He Shut Down? Why Did She Shut Down? With Dr. Toni and Leo Richards. I hope you guys got something out of it. I'm going to pass the mic to Dr. Toni so she can pray us out. And then she going to get with me when we do part 2. Why Did She Shut Down? You got the mic.
All right. God, we thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, God, for allowing us to come together to have this conversation. I pray, God, that you would give us wisdom. You said, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of you, and you would give to him generously. So, God, we pray for wisdom as we communicate, God, with our family, our friends, and our special person. God, give us wisdom. Give us wisdom to know what to say and when to say it and how to say it, God. I pray, God, that we will use our words, God, to build and uplift and not tear down, God, and to not distract and, just be unseemly, God. And I pray, God, that we will continue to speak life and speak affirmations to each other and just speak words that are uplifting. God, I pray, God, for each and every person that took the time, God, to just come and sit with us. And even those who are in the background, I pray, God, that our words, God, will bring you glory. I pray, God, that we have said something, God, that others will be able to get the seeds of our words watered, and that those watered seeds will be increased. God, we love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. This was a great show, y'all. I'm glad I was invited to it.
You're so
All right.
silly.
I ain't gonna be petty, but yeah. Y'all have a good night. Good night.